Tolu Smith here. Make sure y'all subscribe to my boy Downtown Deuce ASAP. Come on, man.
Destination restoration. Destination restoration. Destination restoration. Destination restoration. It's our time. Can you feel the elevation? We on a mission on vacation. Time to create the separation. Championships and motivation. 313 need no explanation. Miss me with all that conversation. We ready for the confrontation. Counting down to our destination. The final destination. Together all the time together. It's us against the world, it don't get no better. We turned it around, that was the beginning. Coming for the crown, you know we winning. Time to put in the work, I'm about to go for steps. Taking our prisoners, it's my time. Yeah, I know that it hurts. Tear break out the church, you don't wanna see me in my prime. The mission is to ring, we're caught in everything. In the city, supporting the dream. Vision new I never seen, we deserve to be king. It's all or nothing, no in between. The clock is ticking and I hope you're listening. Don't touch me cause I'm sizzling. Physicality is tipping and mentality is menacing. The dog pound body's crippling. Now the clock is ticking and I hope you're listening. Don't touch me cause I'm sizzling. Physicality is tipping and mentality is menacing. The dog pound body's crippling. Can you feel the elevation? We on a mission on vacation. Time to create the separation. Championships and motivation. 313 need no explanation. Miss me with all that conversation. We ready for the confrontation. Counting down to our destination. The final destination.
What up, though? Welcome back to another episode of the Downtown Deuce Show with the boss. Hope you guys are all having a great weekend thus far. Boss, what's the word? What's going on with you?
Yeah, hope everybody, I forgot it was St. Patrick's Day next week. So I know this weekend was for festivities. It's been a good weekend. I'm definitely bummed about the loss, but
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm not necessarily surprised by it. Things are good. It snowed here. Last night I was walking around in 50-degree weather at 10 p.m. and today it's all snow and ice. It's crazy. So
It's actually not bad. It's like 70 degrees today for the first time in I don't know how long.
Ooh, okay. Did you get outside?
I'll take it. Of course. Yeah, I'll take
Mhm.
that for sure.
Yeah.
But guys, we see you guys in the chat, man. See you guys in the chat. See your comments. See a couple of super chats we're gonna get to in a minute. But as you guys know, if we missed your chat, make sure you repost it, caps lock, super chat, whatever you want to do to get our attention, and we will come straight to you. So, guys, as Boss mentioned, the Pistons had their 3-game winning streak snapped tonight, or today, this is matinee, by the Toronto Raptors, falling 108 to 119, and they now dropped to 48-19 on the regular season with 15 games remaining. As far as the injury report, we've got some updates. So Isaiah Stewart, guys, was out tonight. He has a left calf strain. There is no timetable for his return. And Boss, apparently it's something that he's been dealing with for a minute now. I think he kind of just played through it last game and the last few games, but he was definitely laboring. So if I'm the Pistons, I'm letting him sit for however long he needs to. He's missed. We know last year he missed most of the postseason, right? So I'm sure that the Pistons are going to do whatever they can this year to make sure that he is as healthy as he can be going into the postseason. So what are your thoughts on Stu being out?
Yeah.
Anything on that?
It's kind of a surprise, I think, to everybody to see that, especially because we were just talking about how he looks 100% back himself.
Right. Yeah.
It feels like maybe he was trying to work through it a little bit because, he was suspended and out for a full calendar month and he just wants to continue to contribute to this team. Maybe I think they were probably just watching it, and we don't know how severe it is, but if it's not getting better, then that's a sign to, rest. So I do agree. I think he would have been useful tonight. But even our guys that we can really rely on in the paint struggled a bit against the Raptors today. So I'm good I want him healthy for the postseason. With this loss today, we're still 4 games ahead of the Celtics in the East. So there's just kind of no rush. And yeah, of course, you want to stack some wins as the season gets closer to ending, and we just went on that losing streak. But I would much rather Stu just be healthy for the playoffs. And there was no timetable for Ausar. He came back in 10 days. I think it was 5 games. So if that's a similar timetable, then he'll still be back, for the last couple weeks of the regular season. So
so it was a game we could have used him, but it wasn't just because Stu was out that I don't think we lost this game. It was a number of things. I think with the guys we had, especially up front, we still should have won this game. So we'll get into that later for sure. As far as Tobias Harris returned to action after missing last game with hip soreness. And that's a good sign for him, that it wasn't anything lengthy because he had that injury, I think, earlier this season with his hip. So that was good to hear for him. And you mentioned Ausar. Good news for him as well. After missing the last 5 games with the left ankle sprain, 6 if you want to count the game against the Spurs when he actually turned his ankle in that first quarter, he returned tonight. I was honestly afraid that he was going to be out longer because there was no timetable or anything, no news on that. But it was good to see him back relatively quickly. So that was good to see for sure. And guys, later we will get into the show and talk about as far as Ausar versus Sass and the impact on both sides of the basketball. So stick around for that as well.
Yeah. And I think I'll just add to that too is I think, like you said, the no timetable can be a little bit scary, but he was upgraded doubtful, then out last game, and then he was probable upgraded to available this game. So just don't let just like with Stu stuff, don't let that it sounds like they're just playing everything safe. So they're just not going to put a timetable on it. There's kind of no need. So
yeah. And the Raptors were fully healthy. So I was expecting this to be a very competitive game, boss. But the Pistons did roll with their starting unit. It is intact again with Cade, Dunk, Ausar, Tobias, and JD. And guys, the poll is now live as to why you guys think the Pistons lost this game. So go ahead and have at that. And boss, we will check on that in a few minutes once we get into some initial thoughts, things like that. So let's get to it, boss. What were your initial thoughts? Before I do that, let's get to these super chats first. We gotta get to these first. What up, though, Alan? Alan says we desperately needed Stu. I see a lot of comments talking about that too, boss. We're gonna get to that as far as Stu's impact on this game, just his absence and not being available. Like I said, I do think this was a game the Pistons still should have won, despite him not being available. He would have helped for sure, but I just felt that collectively it just wasn't a full game of effort that was needed against a scrappy Toronto Raptors team. So we'll get to that. Any thoughts on that, boss?
Yeah, same thing. Like we desperately needed him, but even JD was struggling on the boards. Paul Reed, who was very reliable on the boards, he definitely had some big ones, but possibly it could have shifted things. But like you just said, we should have been able to, with the talent that we have, we should have been able to still pull it out without him. Yeah,
that's where I'm at. Appreciate you, Alan. And our guy Dom coming through says multiple possessions of Duncan guarding Ingram early when he got hot. Hated the Sass LeVert backcourt with no Cade or DJ. And can somebody please actually find a body and box out on a rebound? Also make your free throws. So yeah, I agree with those with that assessment. I didn't really see too much of Dunk getting really hunted out in this game. I saw it at the beginning and at the end of the game. They went to that matchup for sure. A lot like how the Pistons do with Tobias, right? But we did see him getting hunted out beginning and end of the game. So you're right there. I also didn't like that backcourt, bro. The same things you're saying is what I've saying, what Boss been saying. I need to have Cade or Daniss or both, but at least one of them on the court at all times. Just because they're the point guard, they're the table setter, the floor general, all that stuff. So I agree there as well. And yeah, the boxing out. That's why I really wasn't saying that Stu was the reason, directly tied to the reason that we lost, because that's everybody. Just find a body, box out, just give a little bit more effort, show you want a little bit more. And they did in spurts, but not throughout the entire game like the Raptors did. And that was the difference. So as always, bro, I agree. Any thoughts on that one, boss?
Yeah, I agree. Duncan had Ingram a couple times, but mostly based on switches, mostly based on necessity. And, he just did his best. Ingram has been on an incredible streak lately. But I agree. I saw it at the end and at the beginning too. And to be fair to Duncan, he did play only 24 minutes. He couldn't get a shot going. Would have liked to see a little bit less because that's what we, need from him. Maybe closer to the 20 point, because you still got to play him to see if he can get it going. Yeah. But he wasn't he didn't have any, usually he record a steal and stuff, but the defense was tough. It was hard to play defense against this team tonight. And then Sasser and LeVert backcourt, I agree with. Jenkins didn't play, as a lot of you have also said. I kind of can see why. Still, I think that we're relying on our shooting guards like LeVert and Huerter and Sass to play point guard. I don't think that that's permanent because we've seen Jenkins step up as the backup. I am curious to see if we just played them to challenge their ball handling, because there might be moments where, that we do need, like if you're playing off of Cade or if you're playing off of Jenkins, sometimes you are going to be in charge of the ball. So I think it's also just today was a little bit of a battle between the three shooting guards that have that kind of last position. We're starting to cut down our last chances to earn that position, the playoff position, to be the first one off the bench. Tonight, the first one off the bench was Huerter, and then Caris, and then Sass. But I think I don't think it was Jenkins was in trouble or anything. I think that coach knows what Jenkins can do and his value. I just think it's more like we got to get these guys minutes to figure out basically who we're going to rely on, who we're going to call on in the playoffs. So I think that's more of what that was. And even though
great point.
It was ugly, I think that was kind of just like we all talked about last time too, like who's going to get it. So I expected minutes from all three, and all three got them. And the box out was bad as well. There was a lot of times that we had four guys at the rim, and Jakob Poeltl just got it, tapped it out. God, he's a good player. I said last time, I know we shut him down early, but I did say last time, like Jakob is someone to look out for. He definitely outplayed JD tonight. Outplayed B-Ball Paul. He played most of the game too. We saw Mobo in the first half, and then we didn't see him again because he was struggling against our bigs. So I do agree. And then the free throws too, 16 of 24, definitely not ideal.
Yeah, we've seen this team in one of the last 2 or 3 games where they shot 90% from the free throw line. So I'm not expecting that every game, but like we always say, if you're going to ask for the calls, that puts you in the bonus and things like that for sure. That's great, but you still got to take the 3 points. So yeah, I agree, bro. We agree for sure on that account. So I wanted to get you in there. Appreciate your comment as usual. Boss, you want to get to some initial thoughts or to some box scores? What you thinking?
Box scores or initial thoughts?
Let's go initial first. Let's start
there. I mean, we started off well on offense. We were shooting 65% in the first half. What killed us was getting behind in second chance points. To end the half, the Raptors had 18 second chance points, and we had 7. And that's just not something that we've really had to harp on the Pistons about. Like, they're usually very good, at least on the defensive boards. And the Raptors, I think that's truly, no, it's a pull up, but that's my belief that that is what killed us this game, because it killed momentum. We couldn't get back fast. Like, we couldn't, we had to play defense for twice as long on certain possessions. It was, they had 30 second chance points total, but so many, they could have had even more. We were able to get some stops on second chances, but not many. Just really pretty terrible on the defensive glass. It was just crazy. And then also, I also said that I believe, or last show I said that I think that this was our tougher matchup than even the Lakers. It's like our toughest matchup this month, I feel like. And so the Raptors are hungry. They came out strong. They didn't even get Scotty Barnes or RJ Barrett going. They're a team I really like. I like Brandon Ingram. I like Barrett. I like Barnes. So we just kind of they got other people going early, and then Scotty and RJ Barrett were able to get it going later. They just had a really good game. So I really just give a lot of props to them. But we definitely collapsed basically in the second half or second chance points. And lastly, again, Jakob Poeltl, I think he's underrated in this league. I think, and to an extent, I think people know who Jakob Poeltl is, but he's not really as glamorous as some other centers. And he was out for a big portion of the year. The Raptors have been a good team that they were up close to us at the top of the East for the most of the beginning season. Poeltl got hurt. He got hurt for like a month and a half. And then they were 19 and 16 when he was gone. So they really missed him. And then, since he's been back, they've been, I think, just readjusting to him being back, but they can honestly make a run, especially if he plays that way. Because it was his game tonight. He definitely outplayed our bigs, and he made a lot of high IQ moves, whether it was tap outs or offensive rebounds. So we definitely needed to, he was our biggest like Dom said, we should have boxed out, things like that. It was
Mm-hmm.
it was a good first half. I didn't mind the way we played because they got scrappy, and then we just kind of let it go in the third, and then never really found it again.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah. What stood out to me was the Raptors. It's kind of simple for me. The Raptors just played harder for longer.
mhm.
That's what it came down to. Both of these teams are physical teams. They both play hard. They play physical. They're big. They crash the glass. So to me, this game was more about will than anything, and how long you can sustain, that will for the entire game. How long you can sustain it. And we just talked about the Raptors. They beat the Suns last night, right? They just beat the Suns, so they're on the back-to-back today.
Mhm.
So considering that they had to travel, didn't they? No, they're at home. They're at home, but
I
it's
think
still a back-to-back for them.
the Raptors played Friday.
Was it Friday? Okay, so it
Yeah,
wasn't just last night. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they were in the kind of a 2-game losing streak slump, and then when you had mentioned that they had just finished the
Okay.
game against the Suns.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, but the Suns are also a very physical team. We
Mhm.
saw that when we played them both times this year. We won the first matchup, lost the second one, but both times it was a very physical game. So, and the Raptors were able to win that game. So their
Mhm.
physicality kind of went out, right? Because they played hard for the entire game. I went back and watched those highlights. So the Pistons did respond, right? But they didn't really hit first in either half. They didn't really come out and set the tone for how they want to play and grab the momentum early in either half. And that's a big thing. So they're kind of playing from behind. And in the second half, the Raptors, they just continued and sustained it. We always talk about third quarters. How does the third quarter look? It's oftentimes the most important quarter for us as a team. And so
Mhm.
for the Raptors, they came out stronger. They came out like they wanted this game more. They got some more of those 50-50 balls. They
Yeah.
were winning the battle on the boards. They were just collectively just playing harder for longer. So that's what helped them get to that double-digit lead. They were up 12 going into the fourth. They outscored the Pistons 34-17. So
Mhm.
that's the game right there. When you're fighting uphill like that on the road against a
Mhm.
team who plays as hard as you, it's going to be hard to just be able to find your way back. What's going on,
Yeah.
Craig? So they deserve this one.
Yeah.
The Pistons, they showed it the Pistons, like they went through stretches defensively, especially the fourth quarter, where they were holding to the Raptors to just miss after miss after miss, and
Mhm.
one possession after one possession each time, right? So they showed they can do it.
Yeah.
That's how they clawed back into the game. They just didn't sustain it from beginning to end like the Raptors did. And the Raptors are a good team, so it's like you're not just going to be able to out-talent them, like, because they play hard and they're talented. So you got to make sure you bring it from jump against a team who plays similar to how you play.
Yeah, in the first half too, the Raptors we ended up with 65% scoring field goal percentage, and they had 35%, and
Mhm.
most of those were off second chance opportunities. So our defense was there, it was awake. It was just the rebounding that we really struggled with, like you said, the loose balls also. And then we didn't set the tone in the third. The Raptors just stayed energized. And what's crazy is, they played, which I know why we played a lot of people again, because we're trying to, see who makes the cut for some
Yep.
postseason matchups. But they played 9 people total, and we played 11. Yeah, we played
Okay.
11. So there's a couple more. But their starters, we still had to play our starters. Like their starters practically played most of the game. And we, even our starters, like, Cade played 37, Duren played 37.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
they had, it was pretty equal the whole time. And so it was just up to who came out with more energy. And it was the Raptors. They had great ball movement. And I do want to point out, like you said, we got some stops in the fourth, but then we weren't able to convert on the offensive end. Like there were too many times that we got stops and could have gotten it closer, and it was either a missed shot, and we didn't get an offensive rebound, or threw it out of bounds or something like that. So just some timing things as well. But the way we let them get going in the first half, even though we were up in terms of like the second chances, that's what I think really hurt us in the long run. So
it seemed like they capitalized off of every offensive rebound too.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just like, and that's demoralizing. You play 24 seconds of good defense and they get a tap out, and now you got to reset and play 14 more, and they get a 3 off of it. It's almost like the initial stop didn't even matter. Plus you exerted more energy for them to get a 3 ball off it. So that's very demoralizing. And it seemed like every single time or close to it, they scored off of it. And that's tough. And once again, that's why they weren't able to get out in transition and run, is because they continued to play in the half court. They kept taking the ball out of the hoop. And the big part of that is because they couldn't grab the rebound and finish the play. Had they done that, they would have had a ton more transition points. If they were able to just get on the glass, they'd be able to push, board, and push and just get out to their style. But because they kept allowing them to get the board, and it wasn't like it was just all off threes, like with Boston, for example. They shoot so many threes and you got long misses. You're boxed out properly, but it's a long miss. It wasn't like it was just that. It was point blank misses at the rim, and guys were still able to, they were still able to get in there and just with more effort get the rebound. So that's demoralizing. For me, that's the game, because mentally, when that happens, it goes deeper than the box score. It's like it's 3 points, but it feels like 4, 5, or 6 because you had to exert that energy and you didn't get the stop, and now you got to go set up your half-court offense, which is not great at. So it's like it's a domino effect, and it just continued to happen over and over and over again. And after a while, you can't do but so much in that situation.
And like you just said too, some of them were like easy putbacks right away for Pirtle or Barnes, but some of them were just tap outs where they got to play another 15 seconds, and that's just more defense for you to have to play and then go set it up. So but like I said, this was kind of the first time I've that's been the reason that we've lost. This was definitely more of a team thing. Of course, there were a couple guys that hurt us a little bit in their output, but this was there are a lot of guys that made up for others in their output. So it was more so just, now we've learned that how important our presence is on that glass, and we need to bounce back and be the team, because we're usually the team that, is outplaying other guys offensively and in the paint. But the Raptors are very similar to our style of play. Like I said last time, just in terms of they've been a good defensive team this year. They've had longer fall offs and longer stretches of not winning than we have, which is why that they've fallen to 6th, but they were at 3rd and 4th for a while too. So they can make a run for it. It's that whole, 2 through 6 is 2 through 8, honestly, is very, 2 through 10, truly. And the Raptors, they by getting this win, they now have put themselves half a game up from falling into the play-in. So they're going to just
right. So they're where we were at last year, pretty much at this time.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, man. So let's take a look at some of these numbers, guys, as we usually do, and see if they align with how the Pistons want to play. So let's start with points in the paint. Pistons actually lost that battle 50-56, and that's not something we see too often. That is the Pistons' strength. So when that is happening, it's not usually a great sign. Transition points, they won 19-10, so that's solid. They didn't allow them to get in transition a lot. The rebounding battle, here we go, 39-48 in favor of the Raptors. That's a big part of the game right there. As far as stocks, the Pistons had 11 and the Raptors had 14, so they lost that battle as well. And the last thing is just 48 minutes. There's no number for that, but we talked about it. Just not bringing it for a full game against certain teams is going to come back to bite you, because they're not going to allow you to get back into it, because they're going to sustain their effort and they're going to make sure that you're going to do the same. They're not going to beat themselves as far as effort is concerned. You got to actually go and take the game from them. And it's hard when you're fighting uphill for most of the game. So, yeah. So it wasn't great as far as that goes. But, boss, let's get to some box scores. But first, let's get to the super chat from Clifton. Clifton says, the resistance to using Reed the way he uses Stu is stunning. Only played 11 minutes. Only played 11 minutes? Wow. Yeah. Never did use double bigs. Yes, for sure. PR wasn't getting killed on boards. No. So what are your thoughts on that as far as with Paul Reed?
I agree. He definitely should have been in more because he did he got 6 rebounds, which is the second most behind Duren, and he did it in almost a third of the time. And so when that's what you're struggling with, that's what we should be able to, use. And JD did, have a good game offensively, especially in the first half. I appreciated the way he was attacking the basket. But yeah, Paul Reed definitely should have been in there, if not more than together, especially in the second half. Because the thing is like when you have a guy like Stu out and Tolu Smith isn't available and you basically have 2 bigs, like, you can't play a 2 big lineup the whole game. But, if Duren's playing 37 minutes and Paul Reed's only playing 11, then especially in the second half, when this is still an issue, when you didn't adjust and you didn't fix the second chance opportunity issue from the first half, then they should have been in there together more. So I definitely do agree with that.
I do too. This is definitely a game where Paul Reed, the only reason I'm thinking maybe we didn't, and I don't agree with it if it's the case, but I'm thinking maybe he went with Tobias instead of Paul Reed with JD is because he just wanted some offense out there. He wanted to have a half-court threat out there because they weren't getting stops. But it's like if you have a Paul Reed in there, it's like you got to secure the rebound first before you're able to get out on the other side and get some offense. So that's why I'm like, I'm playing Paul Reed defensively to get stops, and then I'm living with whatever the offense looks like.
And I think
as opposed to they're going to score, so let's have Tobias out there to make sure we get some offense in return. Like, to me, I would start with the defense and just kind of live with the offense.
I agree with that. And especially again, late when you're, Duncan Robinson isn't hitting threes and Tobias went 3 of 3 from 3 today. Then you can move, then to me, then just keep Tobias in and take Duncan out, So there's some slight adjustments, and that's not a lineup I think that they've used ever, a too big with Tobias.
Mhm.
But, just like they were able to play Duncan at the 3 and then bring in Sasser for starting lineups, if you got to move some guys around, you got to move some guys around. So there's definitely, I understand why, because Tobias was very good for us today on offense. And even I think defensively, I think he played Ingram pretty well. But it definitely should have been, we should have had some wiggle room to bring in to balance the offense with the boards, because that's what was killing us.
Yeah, and it happened from jump. Like you saw early that they were just more active on the glass. And you can fault JD, because I think he does deserve some criticism for that. But I think just having another guy out there with him, like we kind of said from the beginning of the season, just makes it easier for him, because he's not quite the guy defensively we need him to be yet, but he's 22. So as he's growing, just have another guy out there to make it a little bit easier for him. So there's not so much of a glaring need that we see with him out there by himself sometimes. So,
and we'll get to box scores, but I also want to say, because I'm looking at the rebounds, but JD didn't record any stocks, and in 11 minutes, B-Ball Paul had 3 blocks.
Wow, 3 and 11. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get to that for sure, guys. That's a great stat right there. Yeah, hold that thought, boss. We'll come back to that. I appreciate you, Clifton. All right, guys, let's get to some individual box scores, boss. And let's start with Cade Cunningham. Tonight, guys, Cade Cunningham finished with 33 points on 12 for 24 shooting for 50%, 2 of 8 from 3, 7 for 8 from the free throw line, 3 boards, 9 assists, 4 turnovers for a 2-to-1 ratio, better than 2 steals in 37 minutes. So quite a few minutes, as did a few of our guys tonight, boss. What were your thoughts tonight on C2?
Yeah, I mean, he played with passion, power. He was trying to keep this team in it, and he did for as long as he possibly could. And he even helped us get back into it when we were trying to make a run late in the 4th, a little bit of a too late run. For sure. I would have been very impressed with them if they had come back, but just the way that the Raptors just really didn't fall off at all, it was unlikely. But he was just in the first, he was crazy running out in transition. He got ahead of so many people when we were able to get stops just constantly. And whether that finished in a basket for himself or he assisted, Tobias had 2 baskets running with Cade. Duren had some dunks running with him.
And I like how JD just ran. Yeah, like Cade just threw it up there, knowing he's behind him.
Yes,
one defender there. Yeah, go finish that. So good on him to run, and good on Cade to see that. Go ahead.
Tobias as well. Tobias was running with Cade, and we often give Tobias some criticisms for transition, but when Cade got out, Tobias knew to run. I think he, as a vet too, understood just like that this team was a little bit more difficult than something we've been facing lately. And so he wanted to make sure, and he's, back from an injury, that he made an impact. So I liked that a lot. I liked his buzzer beater long 2 falling away at the end of the first, kind of made up for his crazy one the other night. Didn't count.
It wasn't a 3, but at least it counted, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was a tough shot. So
very tough.
I loved his, after AT swiped it from Ingram, Cade had that nice behind the back.
That was beautiful.
Those are tough because, that can go any which direction. I've seen it happen. I've seen Westbrook throw it completely the opposite way. So those can happen. So that got AT his first points of the game for that dunk. He had a big 3 at the end of the third. Or sorry, not in the end, in the third to end the Raptors 8-0 run. And then in the 4th, he had some great looks and that slam, that very emphatic slam to cut the lead to 5. Unfortunately, again, it was just a little bit too late. But Cade played like an all-star today. I thought we had good ball movement in the first half. So looking at some of these assists and how we only finished with 9 and then the next most was 3 and then a lot of ones, it just shows me that we weren't moving the ball a lot on in the second half, at least on offense, which the Raptors definitely were. So bummer, it could have been another double for Cade, but was put at 33 and 9. I'm happy with 2 steals, shot 50%, 2 of 8 from 3. He took a couple of late ones to try to get us back. Otherwise, I don't think it'd be that high. And then 7 of 8 from free throws, can't complain. So he did everything I think he could, because he was definitely playing defense. I think that's why he got a tech, because he was just getting frustrated. We usually see Cade get frustrated like that if he's just constantly,
they weren't calling it both ways either.
Exactly. And I'm not going to blame it on the refs, because there were some things, but like it definitely felt like once again the Raptors were able to be a little bit more physical towards Cade, and we weren't able to be as physical towards their point guard. So, but yeah, it was a great Cade game.
You mentioned the 9 assists for Cade, and then the drop off at 2. That'll happen when you only play 1 point guard.
That's true.
But we'll come back to that for sure. But I just liked how he led defensively with this effort. Right? We always talk about offensively. We know he's the hub of the offense. We understand how important he is. But the way he sets the tone with this effort defensively was just as important against a physical team. Like it wasn't a game where he had a ton of stocks, but just his willingness to move his feet, play physical, stay in front, not give up on plays, get back even when the block may not be there. Just the effort. I think as the leader, when you set that tone against a team like this, that it's like we got to match it. We got to match it. So I like that he tried to at least lead by example with his defense. Offensively, he tried to backpack this team. He tried. It was tough because it was a game where we weren't getting stops and they kept scoring so it's like that's not something he can control too much. He can try to get in there, but it's like if it's not happening with his bigs, it's not happening for whatever reason. So it felt like to me that he saw, okay, this might be a half court game for us. So other than Tobias, I'm gonna have to be the guy that goes and gets it done in the half court. That's why we saw him taking a pull-up 3 here or there. Maybe not the best shot, but it's like he's just trying to get his guys going, and he knows he's one of the best players on the court in the half court to go do that. So it seemed like he just kind of had that instinct kick in, like, all right, I'm gonna have to go be a little bit more aggressive. And he tried, man. So I'm not upset with some of his shot selection. It wasn't the greatest, but I understood mentally what he was trying to do as far as keeping his team attached, because it was a point where the game flow was kind of the opposite of what we wanted. Like we were taking bad shots in the half court, and they were getting out every time off our misses or turnovers and scoring. It was the reverse of what we wanted. So it felt like Cade understood that. But that play off of that push, that fast break dunk he had where he just pushed it and it was like a 1-on-3, nobody really with him, no numbers. And the way he just blew by Scotty, like you don't see guys really doing that to Scotty too often. But once again, it just shows Cade's he's athletic, man. He's fast, he's quick. You don't see guys just blowing right past Scotty Barnes like that at that size. So that was nice to see as well. He was trying to push whenever he could. Like you even see off of made shots sometimes he was trying to push. But it was hard because they just couldn't get stops. So there were no long misses to push off of. It was everything was taken out of the rim. And when that happens, guys are already somewhat demoralized off of the score. So they're not really running. You know what I mean? So it's just hard. So he was trying to push. It's just he wasn't really helped out by his team's defense. And when he did push, he did have success. Just wasn't enough. So yeah, that's why I don't put on one guy. I put on the whole team as far as just the effort from beginning to end. But I thought Cade did what he could to try to backpack this team.
Absolutely. And yeah, I can't argue with that. I'm seeing a lot of people come in here just because I'm just seeing a lot of comments in a row about JB and his lineups. Guys, today's lineups were fine, in my opinion. Of course, there were some adjustments that needed to be happened second half, but the first half lineups were fine. This was a game that we're trying to narrow down stuff, so, and if some of the guys that, had fantastic first halves continued to have fantastic second halves, then it'd be a completely different story. But the whole team kind of fell off in the second half. And honestly, the second chance the points off the second chance opportunities were the biggest issue. So there's nothing, if nobody's going to help grab rebounds and nobody's going to, literally no one stepped up, because it was 18 second chance points in the first and 12 second chance points in the second. It just tells me that no matter who we put in, it was just a problem for that was the issue, Yeah. So,
no, I agree. You got anything else okay?
No, that's all.
Okay, cool. We'll keep it pushing, guys. Let's move on now to Duncan Robinson, guys. Duncan Robinson in this game finished with 1 point. 1 point, 0 for 2 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. Both of his shots were 3 balls. He missed one of his 2 free throws. He had 3 boards, 3 assists, and 1 turnover in 24 minutes. So take off on what you saw from Duncan Robinson in this game.
Yeah, basically, he had a really nice lob to JD. 3 assists is good, but 0 of 2 to only be able to get up 2 shots, that just means that he wasn't able to find, his rhythm at all. They were guarding him well. So that's just one that, Duncan just had he's coming off of some really great games as well. So For me, it's just more, I would have liked to see him closer to the 20-minute mark if he's not able to make shots. And, he ended up with 5 personal fouls. A couple of those were a little iffy. I think he just did the best he could with effort there. But so that's just kind of obviously not a great show out from Dunk, but it's, again, he wasn't 0 of 10 or anything. He was 0 for 2. We didn't get to see him drive the ball at all, things like that. So just couldn't find it. The Raptors did a very good job about shutting him down.
Yeah, we're gonna get into this later. Like, I will say this: that's not good enough.
Right.
It's not a good game for Duncan Robinson, right? But it's not like he shot terribly. The 2 shots to me is immediately what I went to when I saw the 1 point.
Yeah,
it was like he didn't even get up shots. And we're gonna get to this more when we get into some more box scores. But it's like, why didn't he get up a lot of shots? We just talked about the last 5 games, the difference offensively to defensively with Ausar and Sasser. The defensive, upgrade when Sasser is playing, but the offensive upgrade. I'm sorry, the defensive upgrade when Ausar plays, but the offensive upgrade when Sasser plays. Yes. And we saw Duncan Robinson these last few games playing pretty well, right? Scoring in the teens. And the difference is that you have a Sasser as a guy who can create more space for him. Right. Have defenses more honest. So as soon as Duncan's coming off pin downs and catching the ball, there's not a guy or two waiting for him there. You can't really do that as much with Sass. With Ausar Thompson, they would rather prefer to do that and leave him open. So we'll get to that later. But that's one of the offensive differences you see with a guy like Sasser. There's some good and bad with how it looks with those 2 guys, right? But that's one of the things that I noticed is that they were willing to just allow kind of roam off of Ausar and allow and just focus more so on Duncan Robinson because they know he's not a guy who loves to routinely put the ball on the floor. He can do it, and he did it a time or 2 tonight where he put on the floor, made a nice pass, I think the lob and things like that. But primarily he wants to shoot the basketball. So they're like, okay, let's make sure that we are in his face when he catches the ball. Well, if Ausar kills us, Ausar kills us. That's kind of how they seem to game plan. So for me, that was a big part of why he only had 2 shots. They just weren't really available because of how he's being defended.
Agreed. And we made one play comes to mind when they were doing very good ball movement. And then in the last 3 seconds, it ended up with Ausar at the free throw line. I'm like,
exactly
the last person that you want. And he was wide open because just like we see, like that's the last person, such good ball movement, but it should have stopped before it got back to Ausar there. Or it should have been, someone else. So I definitely do agree with that. And I think just like how we say that Wu, when he comes in, if he comes in for defense, but if his defense is good, his offense is also good. I think with Duncan, he has better. Obviously, if he's better on offense, he feels, I think, more confident on defense as well.
For sure.
More in the flow of things. And so it's probably very frustrating for him, to only get 2 shots up. So it's almost like for him, 0 of 2 is like not enough to judge what his shooting would have been tonight or how it was. It just, it was not. They just really did a good job of, like you said, doubling him or Cade. Because there were a lot of times that Cade or Tobias or a couple guys were double or triple team. But when they're out there, like you said, with Thompson, that's who they felt comfortable enough to leave open. And Ausar did try to take advantage of some of those opportunities. Like he got 8 shots up tonight. He did try, but none were falling. So that's just where but those aren't shots that, because I was, just like with Ron, it's like, take those if you have them, but definitely not what we need later in the game or when we're just trying to maintain a lead, because it's just that's not in his, like Ron, I trust Ron's 3 more than I trust any of Ausar's jump shots at this time. So
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, so that was the biggest difference for me. It's just like we said it before. Ausar came back. We said, watch for that. Watch for the differences on both sides of the ball. You'll see you got some advantages and disadvantages on both sides, offensively and defensively. And tonight, we saw how, once again, teams reverted back to crowding Duncan, right? So they were just forcing. It's a smart play. It's a good game plan. So I'm not mad at it. It's just something that we noticed. So we'll get to the other side of that in a minute when we actually talk about Ausar. So that's all I got on Duncan, boss. But let's go to Ausar Thompson in this game, guys. Ausar Thompson finished with 4 points on 2 for 8 shooting, 0 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 3 assists, and a turnover, and also 2 stocks, a steal in the block in 24 minutes, boss. So what did you see from Ausar Thompson in this game?
Yeah, not a good Ausar game. He had two good plays. The one where he knocked it away, and that was the same one that Cade got the behind the back pass, and he got his first points with a dunk. And at the end of the second, he knocks it away from Ingram to prevent the last basket of the half. But just like we just did with LeVert last time, or at least you did, gave grace. He is coming off of an injury.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give him a little bit of grace for that. He still recorded a steal and a block, which that's, what he does. I think perimeter, to be honest, it seemed like he played on a minutes restriction almost. Just the way that he was in, he wasn't in for extended periods of time. Felt like he was in for 4 or 5 minutes and then would come out. And so I could see them maybe not a minutes restriction, but just like, let's just ease you back in sort of thing. But I can't, other than, his steal and the block, I can't really pinpoint his defense. But that I just, wasn't necessarily paying attention to it. I think just the Raptors were able to get it done. But he's a guy that can also fly in for rebounds. So for him to finish with 1 rebound, that also just shows the issues we were having on the glass. So,
right.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Not a good game for Ausar overall. I do commend him for trying to. There were a couple of times he got blocked at the basket a few times. So even when you're not hitting the jump shots that you're attempting and you're trying to go back to what you can do. A couple of those, again, he is so athletic. And so you want to see him jump up with 2 hands and try to get a dunk or, get a little bit. So those were a little bit frustrating. I don't know if that's just confidence coming off of the ankle stuff too, but I know that's been an issue that we've all talked about. King, you, EB, everyone, just like how he needs to finish a little bit more stronger at the rim to make sure the ball goes in.
Yes.
So that's what I like to
go draw the foul.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to get out the way to contact.
Yeah. And he had 3 assists as well. So I would say a positive when he was asked to bring the ball up the floor. His handles looked really good. I feel like he was being pressured. So I feel like he got around some defense pretty well. But yeah, not a stellar game back, but I'm curious to see how he does the rest of the remaining games this week. So
yeah, he didn't play a great game. Yeah. I wasn't expecting a great game. Right. The same reason that I was saying about last game with Caris LeVert missing time, I was saying I'm going to give him a little bit of grace because he's been off. I do that with everybody. So I was coming into this game with Ausar not expecting a ton after missing 5 games. I just wasn't expecting that. So with that, he didn't. Okay, so he did say, okay, so good call, boss. Yeah. So with that, I wasn't really expecting a ton. So I did see immediately the defensive difference with him in the game. Like we saw him once again guarding 94 feet, right? He actually turned somebody over as soon as they crossed half court and got a nice, easy layup, right? So that kind of stuff we didn't have before when Duncan was starting with Sass because, Ausar is 1 of 1 defensively, right? So that part you did see as far as just the difference defensively. That's why he's 4th in the league right now in stocks in the NBA per game, right? So, but on the other side too is you did see the offensive difference, like I mentioned already, is just as opposed to having Sasser in there with Duncan, right? You said already, but just to reiterate, the Raptors, they were funneling those swing passes to Ausar.
Yeah.
The last swing, they were trying to make sure it went to Ausar. Yeah. And we saw the Pistons on one play moving the ball. But the rotations it was set up so where the last swing would come back to Ausar, the way they were positioning defensively and guard. And they were moving the ball like 4 or 5, 6 passes, and it still kept coming back to Ausar. So that's once again the difference in change you see with Ausar and Duncan as opposed to a Sasser and Duncan, because they have to play more honest defensively, right? So you just see the differences once again on both sides of the basketball. And once again, the double teams. Cade hasn't really been getting doubled a ton how he usually is, the past 4 or 5 games. And once again, it's because they feel they can, the same with Duncan, right? We're going to put 1 or 2 in the ball. They're doing that with Cade. They're trapping Cade more because they're willing to roam away from Ausar Thompson because they're willing to have him beat them as opposed to Cade or Duncan Robinson, who they know are the offensive weapons in the starting lineup. So you just see, like, that was what they were willing to do. So once again, it's something we got to live with Ausar because of what he gives us offensively, and he is getting better offensively. It's just not to a point to where they can truly consistently respect him.
Agreed. Yeah, that's really all I can say. I do want to go here real quick to Mark Royal, 4186. Ausar wasn't playing great before he got injured. I disagree.
He wasn't?
He was
like he was
getting 3, 4, 5 steals a game for a solid stretch. He really was locking in off defensively. We saw him, start to get into foul trouble. I feel like he was more locked in before his injury. So I disagree with that. And we also have this super chat to hear from. I forgot you said last time how to pronounce it. Heeman. Okay. Yeah. I don't trust JB to make adjustments in the OS with this. Is inexcusable, no stew, barely any read in a game with a blatant, obvious issue rebounding. Okay, here's the thing again, and I've said it earlier. I think that's valid. People, whenever we lose It's either LeVert or JB. I feel like that gets blamed. And so we played 11 people in the first half because we're trying to like narrow down adjustments. When the past few games, Huerter and Sass have made good arguments for more playing time. The first half of this game, Caris LeVert made good arguments for more playing time. So I understand what you're saying, and that's okay to be frustrated, but we're not going to get an 11-man lineup like this in the playoffs. I know you guys have heard me say it's something I want, but that's more like if Stu was in this lineup, I want to see more B-ball, and I want to see more like, Sass or something. Yep. But if we're not, this lineup tonight is just trying to narrow some stuff down. And so I'll let you touch on that too, but Scooby Snacks 587 kind of summed it up for me too. Everyone seems upset with the coach for the rotations. And I'm just saying, how are we supposed to know what works if we don't try it?
I 100% agree.
And no, this was an issue early on, but now we've added Huerter because this was an issue with Ivy and stuff. And so now we've added Huerter. And then Sass wasn't getting minutes for long, and then he was playing the starting lineup, and the last 3 games has earned minutes. So I get it. If this was a must-win game for us, we wouldn't have seen 11 people play. So
100%. And Greg actually said that, like, once you get to the playoffs, you get to about 8 or 9, which is kind of what I was expecting to see as we get close to the playoffs. But I put Scooby's comment back up there if you can for me. I totally agree with this. Everyone seems upset with the coach for the rotations, and I'm just saying how we supposed to know what works if we don't try it. For any boxing fans, if you hear you probably heard questions to the boxers, who do you think will win if they fought, Tyson and Ali, whatever. And a lot of time what you hear people say is, we won't know because they never got in the ring. Or they'll say, how hard does this boxer hit? You won't know until you get in there with them. You can hear other people and other things, but you can spar all day long, but you won't know until you're actually simulating it in real time. That's what Scooby Snack is saying here, is that like you can simulate it in practice, but you won't really know how it looks and if it works until you try it in the game.
Yeah.
And sometimes that may mean sacrificing a game or two here so that way you're more equipped for the playoffs, especially when you're up 4 or 5 games in the Eastern Conference. This is the best time. It's a luxury to be able to do this because a lot of teams, they're fighting for position just to get into the playoffs. So they got to go with what they know works. They can't afford to tinker. They're like, well, we got him. Yeah, but he didn't really play. He been on the bench, but he didn't really play with us. And we need this game to stay up a half game so we're not in the play. Like, a lot of teams don't have the luxury to be able to try stuff and be able to experiment because they're fighting for position, so they got to go what works. We have the luxury right now to be able to try it and see what works. Or if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Now we know for sure this won't work going forward. That's why we saw certain guys not even play who usually play. It's to give other guys the opportunity where that spot may not be quite solidified for what's going to work likely in the playoffs. So this is the only time they have a chance to do it, when the games still matter, but not to the point where it's deciding our future as of right now.
And I want to point out, like someone said earlier, which I'm sure a lot of you can agree with, like LeVert and Sass didn't look good. We haven't seen LeVert and Sass.
Exactly.
But and
I didn't think it would anyway, but it's nice to see it.
Well,
with my own eyes.
I didn't think Kevin and Duncan would work, and they've worked well together in a few games. I'm not saying it's amazing, but you think of Kevin Duncan, you're just like, oh my gosh, that's too much offense and less defense. But it actually, has looked okay. And the reason that we saw them together again tonight is because JB is aware of that. So we just have, the experiment stuff stinks. But again, it's not even that we played 11 players, is that we played 11 players in the first half. That tells you they're
trying stuff.
Yes.
Yep. I totally agree. So I think that's a great comment, Scooby. Like, this is the only time they're going to get it. If it means you got to lose a game or two in the process to know later, like say if you do get in foul trouble and you got to go with this or that, you've at least seen it before in the playoffs to know, all right, we can go to this, as opposed to just trying it because you never had a chance to before. So yeah, this is the only time we're going to get a chance to try that. Luxury, we up 4 games, not like 12.
OKC is up by 2.5 games over the Spurs.
Yeah, bro. Like,
actually, the West has a closer 1-2 than the East.
Trust me, bro. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. They can afford, because it's not like the other teams are just going to keep winning every single game as well. We're fine. We've had the same 4.5, 5 game lead up on the East all year, bro. Take a look at the standings going back to November when we took over first place. We haven't had a 7 or 8 game lead all year. It's been teetering right around the 4.5 to 5.5 range, like it is right now. So if you paid attention to the standings, the gap has been what it's been throughout the whole season.
Right.
So they can afford to do it right now.
we were just worried about after a 4-game losing streak falling to 3 above the Celtics. Then we went back up 5, and now we're up 4. Like, it's going to be these other teams right now. The Celtics aren't worried about us. They're not trying to catch us. They're trying to maintain not falling below the Knicks. Like, there's different goals. And if they catch us, it would take again, they would have to go, it would take a huge fall off from us, but I don't see that happening. And I know if you say, well, if we play like that today with the rotations, things like that, but there's going to be different moves made in important games. And this one, of course, would have been nice to win. This is also potentially, depending on how the Raptors rest of the season goes, a first round matchup, because they could get out of the play-in or fall in and then get out of it, But
last thing you want to do is win 64, 65 games, break the Pistons franchise record, and then you lose in the first round because you got in foul trouble and you had this, and you didn't know where to go after that. You didn't have any confidence on any lineups after that. We have that now. I'd rather win 58, 59 games, sacrifice maybe 1 or 2 in the process of figuring out what does and doesn't work for later. And then come playoff time, we're moving on to the next round because of that. Like, it's not just about the regular season, man. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to have a top 2 seed at the worst, at the very worst. And it's going to be the number 1 seed. So it's more about what happens when you get there. You're going to be the Cavs from last year who had the top seed in the East, ran away with the East and lost. Or you want to be a team who actually advances past the first round. These games and this experiment process right now is what allows us to do that later.
Yeah, I don't recall the Cavs, and I could be wrong. I just don't recall the Cavs necessarily having an experiment, because when we're winning, people are calling us the Cavs of last year. When we're losing, people are calling us first round exits. It's like there's literally no winning with perception right now. And I also I have to give credit to the Raptors. They're not a fluke team either, and people approach them that way, just like some teams and media people approach us like a fluke. Like, the Raptors have earned their spots in the East, and if they didn't go on a little bit of a fall off when they had Jakob Poeltl out for a month and a half, almost they went 19-16 without him. If they didn't have a little bit of fall off, they would be up much higher too. So just it's kind of a no win right now. Unless we won today. Like, if we won today with 11 guys, which we could have if we grabbed boards, honestly.
Man, we're not gonna win every game, guys. Like, it's way too much doom and gloom after every loss. JB isn't good or he's not coaching. Come on, man. Like, this prisoner of the moment mentality is what's going to drive some of y'all blood pressure through the roof, man. Like, we're not going to win every game. Like, if you look around the league, you ask any other team in the East if they want to switch with us, they say yeah. Like, it's just, so you got to keep your expectations in check, man. Like, it can't be panic time after every loss. Every team in the league every year has bad games, has games they lose to inferior teams for whatever the reason. If it's an effort thing, if it's an experimentation thing, everybody loses. Everybody loses games, man. It's an 82-game season. So you just got to keep it in perspective, man. It's just one game. We'll bounce back like the 4-game losing streak we had. That was followed up with a 3-game winning streak. So it's like people not even talking about that 4-game losing streak no more. So
right.
You just can't be a prisoner of the moment.
Yeah. And yeah, come on here, vent. We love, come on. It sucks when we lose. We want you guys to be able to vent. That, to me, I look at it the positive that we can point to why we lost. Not of like, I don't really know what happened. We know what happened. We gave the Raptors way too many second chance opportunities, and it killed the pace of the game for us. Yep. So, but yeah, come on here. But then, listen to us too. If you want to stay stuck in your doom and gloom mindset, that's fine.
You can. I'm just trying to save y'all some stress, man.
Yeah. And everything's valid. Like, of course, you can be like, the rotations can be a reason why you thought we lost today. But then listen to us when we're saying that we played 11 guys in the first half because we're figuring out our final rotation. So last game, everybody was like, who gets the minutes? And we got to kind of pit them against each other in the same situations to see who gets the minutes.
To figure it out in real time. Clifton says, when is the last time we beat a good team? That is a valid point. We haven't played a ton of good teams lately. Now, we have some games coming up, right, that we're going to be playing. I think we play the Thunder next week, or maybe a week and a half from now.
We play them at the end. We actually have like the Thunder the 30th, and then the Raptors again the 31st, I believe.
Okay, so we'll get an opportunity.
So yes, we do have. That is a good point. I didn't think about it like that, but again, it's this
It's
month
even
is
more reason to experiment, though. Like this is even more reason. We beat good teams all year. We've earned the right to be able to do whatever we need to do to be in playoff position.
Mhm.
So if that's all I'm saying. It just feels like you got to keep it in perspective, man. That's all I'm saying. We'll leave it there, boss. We'll leave it there. Let's go on now to Tobias Harris in this game, guys. Tobias Harris finished with 21 points on 9 for 12 shooting overall, 3 for 3 from 3, 5 boards, 2 assists, and 1 turnover in 33 minutes. So a good game from Tobias, at least offensively, boss. What you see from Uncle T?
Yeah, I loved what I saw. I think this was just a really standout game for him. I think besides Cade, he was the best player on the floor. Like I said, I really appreciated him running on transition with Cade to, give him either an outlet or help clean up the shot. Really good in the mid range. He thrives. We are just so lucky that like in games like this where they get second chance and we can't get out to run or it slows down and we have to rely a lot on our mid range. He really just. I'm grateful for him on the floor when we have to do that. He's one of our much better half court performers when we have to do that. And again, he also was pretty big on transition today too. So he kind of did it all offensively. I think I thought he had a couple good possessions of defense. It's kind of just 50-50 with him. He either is able to give his all or he misses an assignment sort of thing, which is then even tougher when, again, they were able to double up their time on offense because of loose balls and stuff. So overall, I liked the production that we saw from Tobias, and he came in and, I once again got baskets at important moments to not let the Raptors necessarily run away with it. And just to make it tough. And again, I always give him props because, he backs down. He has his, infamous turnaround shot, but he backs down really against anyone who's guarding him. He's confident enough in his shot that he's going to go find it no matter who's on him. So I appreciate that from him. For
sure. Yeah. He did a little bit of everything I felt like tonight offensively. All 3 phases. He got it done in the half court and with his post game. Like you mentioned, he ran the floor well and finished with Cade at the rim. And then once he also made some good secondary plays as a secondary playmaker, right? Found guys for lobs like JD, which the lob has vastly improved, boss. I think like half court and on the break, like his lobs have been much more on target.
Yes.
And that's something we didn't see the first half of the year. Sometimes
practicing
like, to the top of the backboard.
I wanted to see him.
What is going on? Bounce pass, bro. Bounce pass.
Yeah. I wanted to see him and Duren just run that for a while, and maybe they are because it's looking a lot more on target.
Yeah, they're probably repping that out in practice for sure. I would imagine for sure. So offensively, I thought it was good. Defensively, it was a little bit of a struggle. We talked about the boards. We're not going to reiterate that, but we understand the physicality that the Raptors play with and the guys they have up front. But also the perimeter, he kind of struggled to just kind of stay attached. He was solid at times, but other times, like I saw one play, RJ Barrett one-on-one, hit him with a simple step back, jab step back. And Tobias was still backpedaling. Like it was, it wasn't like it was a crazy play. It was just like he just doesn't have the foot speed to be able to stay attached to stay in front. So that's my only thing. I've said it before. I just kind of worry about and wonder about how that's going to look in the playoff series. He was great last year playing big in the playoffs against guys like Cat. I just wonder about the perimeter defense for him sometimes. So we'll see how it looks. But I thought overall, but as far as what we expect to see from Tobias, he was solid.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Any comments on that? We're good. All right. Well, actually, let's go to Mike. Mike says, any idea if Tobias hurt us on defense? Well, yeah, we just talked about that for sure. So yeah, we're on the same page, Mike. I think. It is what it is, man. We just got to continue to try to focus on what makes him good and take advantage of games like this when we're not able to get out in transition and run. Just try to utilize him in the half court because that's where he's best at. So.
Yeah, and when you say hurt us, I mean, it's the defense that we've gotten from Tobias all year. So the other things hurt us. The other guys, not running in for rebounds and stuff. That's hurt us. So
all right, we'll leave it there, guys. Let's move on now to Jalen Duren in this game, boss. Tonight, guys, JD finished with 20 points, 8 for 11 shooting, 4 of 7 from the line, not great. 11 boards, 1 turnover, no assists, no steals, no blocks, like you mentioned, in 37 minutes, tying Cade for the most for the Pistons tonight. What'd you see from JD?
Yeah, Pirtle outplayed him 100%. So he was still, like I said, I really liked his aggression on offense in the first half. I think he did a really good job. But again, just completely got beaten by Pirtle on the boards. He had 4 offensive and 7 defensive, and Pirtle had 9 offensive and 9 defensive. So JD didn't beat him in either category. So yeah, he needs to be more aggressive on the boards with some of these guys. We've been watching him put up 14, 15, 16 rebounds a game. He had an 18 rebound game earlier this season. We know he can do it. I question what about today? He finished with 11, but he ended the first half with 5, I think. And Pirtle already had had 10 or 11 at that time. So it makes me question just like, why was it so difficult for Pirtle, to stop Pirtle? And Pirtle is not only good at bringing down the rebounds, but he has fantastic timing for leaving his feet at the right time to tap it out to others to keep the play active. So I just did want to see, but he's finished with 11 rebounds. So it wasn't even necessarily him. It was just everyone as a team, because there were many times that I was just so frustrated with seeing 4 blue jerseys and Pirtle came away with it. And 4 blue jerseys under the rim and Pirtle came away with it. So It's not necessarily, JD's rebounds, because he did finish with 11. I'll give him that. He did do well against Mobo, like I said, who didn't really play much after. Mogbo only played 3 minutes and Pirtle played 37. So he did aggressive there. Pirtle was just a tough match for him. And like I said, I think that there are good centers in the league. I still think that JD is the best in the East. But he needs to be able to, what he does to other teams, he needs to be able to do it to Pirtle tonight. But I also have to give the Raptors credit because they were kind of taking away the lobs. Cade and JD did connect on a few, but there was a lot of pressure. He was defended well. So I give the Raptors credit for slowing him down at the rim.
Yeah. I think JD, not as much as he used to, but I still think at times he struggles with just that solid, above average, solid, high IQ, try hard big man. A lot of times in the past, we would see him struggle with guys like the Ivica Zubac's, for example, right? The not the extremely athletic, but just the big guy who's got a good IQ, who plays hard, right? Who plays smart, and who's just giving effort the entire time. Those are the kind of guys, the Vucevic's, for example, the Zubac's, for example, the Brook Lopez's, for example.
The ones who have been in the league longer. The
veterans, right? Those, it seemed like in the past, I'll be frustrated because I would see him routinely get outplayed by those guys just from those aspects. He's naturally more gifted, but as far as the impact on the game, they would have a higher and bigger impact on the game just because of their effort consistently, because they're not freak athletes, so they got to rely on something else. They're not freak athletes, so they got to rely on their IQ, right? So the things that JD's growing into, they were much better than him at that, and that's why they have bigger impact. Tonight, it kind of felt like that a little bit. Not to the same extent as it has in the past, like last year early. But once again, it felt like tonight I won't say they outsmarted him, but you could see that they're vets, just the way they play the game. And you could see they were just trying to take him out of his game. They were playing physical with him, and they brought it for the whole game. And I think that was the difference. It's just we kind of see when JD gets outplayed sometimes by these guys who are not on his level, but can be if he allows them to be. That's when it's like, okay, what happened in this game? That's when you got to go back and watch the game and see what happened. And we saw it. We talked about it with the whole team, but with JD too, the lapses. Yeah. The offensive rebounds. Like, there's no way he's supposed to be dominating the glass. He's not bigger and stronger than you. He can't jump higher than you. He's not quicker than you. It's literally an effort thing. So instead of, you would see his shot go up, and instead of JD boxing out, he's just watching the ball and just getting ready to jump for it, as opposed to boxing out, getting in position, finding a guy. And when you don't do that, that's when you got Pirtle swarming in for offensive putback, right? So it's just one of those things where he just has to stay locked in defensively. He's got to stay locked into the game for the entire game, and not just think he's going to be able to out-talent these guys just because he's more naturally gifted.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said the word defense, because that's kind of what it was. His defensive assignment was Pirtle, who got most of his baskets today on second chance opportunities. And, and JD didn't register anything, no stocks. He didn't register necessarily anything on defense because his job was to make sure that Pirtle didn't get the ball, and he failed at that job today. He truly did. So, but like you said, they're going to go back and watch it, and he's going to understand it. And this, I think, will only, help him lock in and remain better. But that's when it is, frustrating, like you said, just the effort, because it's not like he was exerting so much effort defensively that it was tough to grab rebounds. Like, his only defensive assignment was to keep Pirtle away from the glass. So that's what he needed to do offensively, and he just couldn't get it done. And again, I think he had a strong first half offensively, especially when and I brought this up last time, you got Poeltl there, but then you got help defense from guys like Scotty Barnes, who is a great defender, great shot blocker. So it was a little bit, he had to exert a lot of effort there, but this is a two-way team, and we've seen him, this game is just kind of a fall off from his little 4-game streak of kind of good on both ends. So, but I do like it, it's kind of interesting that it'll come with time. Like we've said, he's only 22, but it will come with time. Some of these struggling against some of the higher IQ, not necessarily the most physical or young, but just the higher IQ guys have been in the league longer, guys who understand what needs to be done. And they just kind of figure you out a little bit early on, and that will come for JD. But in the meantime, effort just needs to be picked up a little bit. Again, I'll say, because he's been showing it.
Willie John says, before the game started, I was concerned about the matchup with Toronto. So that's what Boss was saying, like the matchup with Poeltl. She did the last post game. She was saying, looking ahead to this game, she said Poeltl's a little bit better than Nick Claxton or Dominic Barlow or what's his name, Prosper, the other center from last game, right? You were saying it's a level, it's levels to it. And Poeltl's not a superstar, but he's a solid center who knows how to play the game. And so, like, for me, like with JD, I do understand and want to acknowledge that I know he has more offensive responsibility now than he did before, right? So, but it's like at the same time, your offense can't come at the expense of your defensive intensity not being there, right? It still has to be there. If you're going to do more offensively, okay, cool. But you still got to give that same effort defensively, even though you do have more responsibility. Now, I think the conditioning his conditioning has improved, but I do still think sometimes he may be conserving a little bit defensively so he can get it done offensively. And we need the reverse. We need him to lead with his defense for sure.
It hasn't clicked for him yet that maybe some of these guys, like you mentioned, Vooch, a Poeltl, maybe it hasn't clicked for him yet that these are the guys that actually require the most effort from you. I feel like it's just like people did when I brought up Poeltl, just like the media does, these guys are older and they're not as, strong and physical and everything as they used to be, but these are the ones that are giving him the most issues. I think as long as he just works on that a little bit, it will be, he just has to switch his mindset, because they tell you, that the way you speak to yourself is important, and that's for the everyday person to the athlete. And if you you're subconscious, if you're like, I'm not going to doubt his ability, but it's subconsciously, if you think you have a one up already, then you might come out a little bit flat. So you just have to just really approach every game like it is, a true battle. And I think I truly believe that if despite the offensive surge that the Raptors had in this late in the second half, if we had not let so many second chance points and opportunities happen in the first half, we would have come away with this game, because that not only would have just shown more effort on our end to grab those rebounds and grab those loose balls, but we were shooting 65%. So would have been. I truly think that was the difference in the game. And while it's everyone's, everybody's on the hook for that, and the lack of getting those loose balls, a lot of it came down to that center position. And like I said, I'll play him. So.
And I want to point this out too, because Kevin said needed to rebound as a team today. I can't put this on JD, and that's the thing. I'm not going to put this loss on JD, but I am going to put Jakob Poeltl's 21 and 18 on JD. The individual matchup I'm going to put on JD. You can't get out rebounded by Poeltl by 7 boards, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. It's not like, we lost because of JD and we need to. No, that's not true. That's not even fair. It's not even realistic. It's never usually just one guy, right? But as far as the matchup, I need that to be at the very least on your end, a wash when it comes to you and Poeltl. That's kind of where I'm at. You can't let them outplay you like that. But I think even with that too, like to JD's credit, I got to look at JB a little bit too, because it's like, of course, we want to see JD improve and he's not there yet, but it's like you still got to, at least in my opinion, recognize that. It's like this is frustrating, but it is what it is. So with that being the case, let's get a Paul Reed out on the court with JD more. Let's make it a little bit easier for him. Let's cover up that mistake here and there that he may have missed with a guy like Paul Reed to give him more size to help him, right? So to me, it's like, with that being the case with JD, sure, that's fair, but I also think you got to make the adjustment with that, because just being frustrated ain't going to win you the game. It's like, at some point, you got to make that change. And I think that would have been something that really helped JD in this game, just have another big in there. And
just the last really observation I've noticed is that, this Pirtle grabbing the boards and the second chance points came early. So this should have been a halftime adjustment. That's usually what you look for anyways. And this should have been a halftime adjustment. And so whether it was JB's halftime adjustment to play B-ball Paul more, or whether it was JB challenging JD's, to go out there and make adjustments, neither one happened basically. Right. So, but that's, I think, why it's a little bit more frustrating. Despite a 2011 game, you played the same at a halftime where you were getting outworked, and that's the adjustment needed to come then. So whether that's on JD or whether it's on not playing B-ball Paul, or a little bit of combination of both. I think at this point we've seen JD, we've seen all of our guys make adjustments, and including JB with lineup. So I think that's just more so of like no adjustments were kind of made in the second half to counter what happened to us in the first.
Yeah. So once again, collective effort. Never going to point fingers at one guy. You win as a team, you lose the team, right? So we'll leave it there for JD, boss. Let's go to some, and I'm seeing a lot of throwback comments. I don't know what's going on.
I was going to take a quick break if you want to grab those, or
go ahead. You do your thing.
Right back.
Let's check this poll first, y'all. Let's see what you guys thought about the reason for this loss. See if y'all pointing fingers over there or not. Let's see. So 52% believe the reason for this loss was due to rebounding. So I think we all agree there. Well, at least most of us do. 41% say inconsistent effort, which to you guys' point goes hand in hand with rebounding. So that's most of the vote. And then turnovers for 6% and free throws for 1%. So yeah, I think we all agree. It's just got to be a concerted effort as a team to just lock in on that end of the floor, because that's your identity. That's where you're going to get it done to start. What was I saying about the 04 team? Let's see. Dre Money says Joe Dumars too were a part of the championship too. So throwback. Y'all having fun talking about stories. Y'all going back in time. All right, guys. So let's go ahead now and get this bench guys. And before we get to the guys who did play, I want to start with the guy who didn't play, who usually does. And that's part of what me and Boss were talking about as far as the Pistons experimenting while they have the time to do so. So that way they can be even better come playoff time. And that guy was Daniss Jenkins. Daniss Jenkins, guys, was a healthy scratch. He didn't play in this game. No injuries, no nothing. So I want to start with this for that very reason, because I noticed at like the 7-minute mark of the second quarter that he probably wasn't going to play in this game. When I saw the rotations that were being made throughout the first quarter and early in the second quarter, and I still hadn't seen Daniss Jenkins, I'm like, this is going to be a game to look at other guys. And I knew he was probably at that point going to feel the impact the most of us seeing extended minutes for guys like Huerter, Sasser, and Caris LeVert. I had a feeling, so he's the one that's not going to play tonight. Okay. So, and the thing is that you can't play everybody. So at that point, I just knew that we see those three guys this game as opposed to him. And here's the thing. I think Daniss' role on this squad, at least for the rest of this year, is solidified. But he's the backup point guard. I think that's clear. When we signed him to the contract and the way he's been playing consistently, he's going to be the guy in for Cade when Cade sits down. So now it's about, because everybody's probably wondering, like, where's Daniss? Does this affect he do something wrong? Does this affect his future? No, it's the opposite. I feel they know what they got in him and they know how to use him as far as a rotation. The same can be said of the other three guys. So I think it's now about figuring out who's going to be the primary backup shooting guard between Caris, between Kevin Huerter, between Sass. It may not be the exact same every game, but as you get closer to the playoffs, it's going to look more and more uniform. So it can be situational at times, but I don't think we're going to see a ton of that come playoff time. So I think this period, boss, is just, it may be to just see who can be that guy consistently between those two. Who's going to be that guy off the bench, routinely backing up Duncan Robinson at that 2-guard spot. I could be wrong, but from what I observed and what we're seeing and where we are right now in the standings and how we're experimenting, you mentioned the 11 players in the first quarter, like those kind of things signal to me, like, okay, they're trying to nail this down. They're trying to figure this out. Win or lose, they want to know what they got. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just like you said, and just I have the exact same belief. I think that Daniss has solidified his role as backup point guard. Yes, he had a little bit of a slump just when we were in our slump too, but he's also been the last few games the second most assists behind Cade, which is exactly what you want, is your two playmakers making the most plays. Yeah, exactly. And I think with as many guys that we did see tonight, you might say, well, why didn't, Jenkins just come in for Cade and we still rotate those other 3 guys? It wouldn't have been enough minutes for those 3 guys to necessarily make an impact to call and stuff. And I also, if it was me, and my reasoning would be, if I saw this, and my reasoning would be that, yes, we don't want to rely on another, like Cade and Jenkins are our playmakers, but in times when we want them off ball, who's going to be the best to also perform that role? Not necessarily, we've all said we don't necessarily want to see LeVert as playmaker. Sass has been doing really good as shooting guard. Huerter, we've really only seen as a shooting guard. Ausar, we saw brought up a few times, but now it's just kind of a test of like who's the all around best fit for when Cade and Jenkins are on the floor to either score off of them or to help them get their shots and plays as well. So
and Daniss,
he
plays well with Daniss too, which we'll probably see some of those matchups later on.
Exactly.
As we continue to progress. Go ahead.
Exactly. So that's like Jenkins will definitely see, I think, the rest of the week. But like you, as soon as I saw that 11 people had played and it was halfway through the second and Daniss hadn't come in yet, there's kind of no point to bring him in the second half because you're still trying to give some of these guys minutes, and we'll get to it. But Sass had like 11 and a half minutes. Huerter had 14 and LeVert had 20. And LeVert had 20 because he had such a good first half. But otherwise, I think they would have been a little bit more equal. So that's just, just those little things we just talked about last time is like who, is the one to pick. And they've all made their cases today. They all had their good moments and their bad. So we'll probably see, I would suspect over the next few games that we do see the regular Daniss back behind Cade, and that maybe, like you
rotating.
said, it's not going to look
guys with who he plays with.
But they might rely on, more Huerter minutes, more LeVert minutes, and more Sass minutes to see who the best one is. The rotations are probably like, if you guys are mad about, the rotations today and the 11 guys who played, I think this next week especially is a great time for them to experiment. It's kind of perfect timing to kind of help narrow that down, and then they'll have it more solidified with, when there's about a month left in the regular season. Yeah,
I expect this, like, we're going to see some variation in what we saw tonight, probably a little bit less of this because you want to keep Daniss, playing because you're going to need him. But I think we're going to see more of a variation between like Daniss and, like you mentioned, Daniss and Huerter one game, Daniss and Sass another game, Daniss and Caris another game, just to see which kind of looks best. Like, who can we get the most out of that'll help us in the playoffs?
Right.
Between those 3, because they all bring different things. We know Caris is the best defender, Huerter probably is the best connector, and Sass is the best scorer, right? So it's like, which of those things is first going to work well with Cade and Daniss, and which is going to help us to be able to progress in the playoffs around what we already have. So that's why, once again, you don't figure that out in practice.
Right.
You figure that out in games. So sometimes you're going to have games that kind of look like this, where it's like, where's your backup point guard? We're trying to see who's going to play best next to him. Don't worry about it. That kind of a thing, right? So that's what I personally think. I don't have any science information, but just from what I'm seeing, it looks like they're trying to figure out who's going to be that guy, like we talked about. So yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, as long as we don't hit a losing streak or nothing crazy, which I don't suspect, especially playing the Wizards twice, coming up back to back. But yeah, I think this is good for right now, and I think it'll benefit us later for sure, boss.
Well, the Wizards are definitely not a team we're going to be able to sleep against because we lost to them once this season, and then the other one was Daniss' amazing 3-point shot. They got into overtime. Like, they've been the kind of trickier ones. We should definitely
still win both.
Right. But it's kind of a blessing in disguise that we have the same team twice in a row, because whatever adjustments need to be made from the first game can be immediately made the second game. Because maybe, they realize, again, let's say they try Huerter with Jenkins and that doesn't work. But we, even if we pull out a win, whatever the weak spots are, I expect those adjustments to immediately change and just to tweak it. So kind of a blessing in disguise for having a team that we should win against, that is actively taking, that's still going to play us well. But, and I think definitely the next 2 games, at least, we will be, like you said, just experimenting more. So
Yep. Which is why we're not tripping, because it's kind of like you take one small step back to take 2 forward in the playoffs. I'm cool with that. I'm taking that now.
It's that problem that we've had all year of like, everyone's good enough to have substantial minutes on this team. And so like you said, there's a lot of teams that don't even get to experiment because not only just for position, but because their team isn't deep enough for that. So
yeah. You're right. You're right. It's a luxury we've had all year because we were saying at the beginning of the year, why are we playing so many guys? Why are we playing so many guys? All right, well, now we're putting ourselves in a position so we don't have to. Like, so, you know, they're kind of fixing that problem right now. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's keep moving and let's go to the other two guys. Did we talk about Caris yet? We did Daniss. Okay. Let's do Kevin Huerter first, actually, boss. Kevin Huerter in this game. Guys, tonight Kevin Huerter finished with 3 points on 1 for 3 shooting. All of his shots were threes. 1 board, 1 assist, 1 turnover, and a steal in 14 minutes, boss. So take off on Kevin Huerter.
Yeah, I mean, you would have liked to see him, you know, obviously get a couple more shots up or some shots fall, but he was the first sub of the game. I noticed he was the first sub in for AT, and they played with the rest of the starters. He hit his first 3, and it was just a swish. It was just beautiful. It was gorgeous. And they kind of left him open. I think teams are going to do that for a little bit because everyone, you know, if you're scouting him, you understand that he's kind of up and down. So it was a swish. And then his next play, he got a defensive rebound, which is something we were lacking. He got a defensive rebound and I saw him give it to Cade and I saw him point to Cade. Hey, Cade, JD's open. As if Cade doesn't, you know.
Just got her yesterday.
But Huerter is bringing up the floor. And what that tells me is that if Cade wasn't there to give it up to, Huerter still would have made the right decision. Huerter sees the floor. Huerter saw the mismatch with JD. And that's what? Cade eventually threw it to JD. And JD got, I don't know if it was an and one, but I know he got it up and he got called for, he got fouled. So the vision that Huerter had, it was just cute to see like Huerter get the rebound and give it off to Cade and be like, oh, look at JD is over there.
Yeah, give instruction.
You know, that's typically the first place that Cade looks. And he was right about it. So I thought he played really good defense. He only had 1 foul. And one of them, that one was really questionable. That was the one where it looked like nothing was touched. It was interesting. A steal was huge. So yeah, I liked what Huerter did for us tonight. Like I said, he did come off first for AT. So those minutes he was with Duncan Robinson out there for a little bit.
Did you like that look?
I do like it. I just think that, you know, I think the today it didn't like work only because Duncan's game was off because he wasn't getting, you know, his shot. Yeah. But like Duncan was in the game when Huerter made his 3. And
Huerter made a nice pass to Dunk.
They were shutting down Duncan because they were like, that's who shoots the threes. And Huerter was able to. So when they're on the floor as a triple threat, and you got Cade out there who's also one, and he was on the floor with Tobias, who was also one tonight. Like, so you got 4 guys that can shoot threes on the floor with you. You got to pick one. And so, or, you know, pick one a double at least.
Exactly. So more spacing.
Right. So I do like that look, especially I liked him coming in first. I think, again, with AT going out, it leaves you a little bit vulnerable on defense. But AT also didn't necessarily have an amazing defensive game back. So it didn't hurt us in this game. I'm curious to see how it would be if AT, you know, it was his first 5 minutes of the game. So you can't really see much, you know. But I think he did his job. And again, with the steal and playing good defense, I think, like you said earlier, LeVert's kind of the best on defense. Sasser is kind of the best on offense. And Huerter has been kind of doing it all, kind of just equal on both sides. So, I prefer him over
LeVert. He's got size.
Basically right now, but LeVert did have a good first half. Because that's also, those 3 also kind of fell. They all made their first shots. They all looked good first half, and all 3 of them had a tough second half. So can't really compare them in that aspect. But I like the way he looks for us. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, he just looks more and more comfortable as he just gets more opportunities and more time to play with these guys. He had a couple miscues. Like he had a pass where it was a good idea, but bad pass type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, right, where he just a little bit lazy with the pass. Had it gotten there, it'd have been a bucket, right? But just a little bit, you know, too lazy. But overall, I thought he was solid. It's just he's just comfortable now. He looks much more comfortable. He now understands too. We talked about this last show. He understands now that he's got the full confidence of his teammates and his coach to let it fly.
Yeah,
shoot the ball. Once again, we talked about how usually he's catching it as a swing pass, swing. I'm going up. But now, like if he's got any room off the catch, if it's the first initial pass or not, like if it's a decent shot and he's got space, he's pulling it. Yeah, and he knocked one down and that he didn't put it on the floor or nothing. He just rolls with it. So it's just telling me that once again, he has the confidence in these guys. Make or miss, let it fly, bro. Like we don't have a lot of shooters We don't have a lot of guys consistently we can rely on. You are one of those guys. So we're going to live with it, make or miss. So to me, that's the biggest thing. It's just that he is now willing to just let it go and not just overthink about making the right play or stepping on anybody's toes or shots or whatever, and just go play. And he's doing that more, and he's looking more and more boss to me, even though the box score didn't show it, like Sacktown, Kevin Huerter. So we'll see.
And, we talked about last game, we kind of speculated that he was starting to get into a rhythm because he was playing more his game instead of not harming the team he came to. When you come to a good team, you just don't want to obviously throw them off or anything. And Greg Kelser, I forgot if it was with Johnny Kane or Blaha, but they addressed that today pregame, just talking about how, or maybe it was when Huerter first checked in, but just talking about how Huerter basically told JB, like, I want to come in. I don't want to upset your rhythm. I want to do what helps this team. And JB basically was like, play your game, and that's what will help us. And we're seeing that more. Like you said, he looks more comfortable within our scheme, but I also think it's because he's not overthinking. He's not hesitating. He is just, doing what he, wants to do. And we saw that with that kind of lazy pass. You saw him kind of being like, well, I just made a 3 on the last play. I want to come in and I want to share, because that's what this is a team that plays team ball. But it's more just like, just a little bit tweaks in decision-making in terms of playing with this roster, but that's really it. And only 1 of 3, but again, 1 of 3, he's been putting up more shots. He's been able to make some more. So like you said, even though the box score doesn't necessarily reflect it, he's definitely looking more like, not even just like Sacramento Kevin, but just Kevin Huerter, like looking more like how he wants to play.
Well, that's just the best version of him I've seen. So that's why I'm saying that.
Yes.
But yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. I want to get to this comment about 313. Kurt says, my thing was when Beasley was off, THJ was hitting threes, and when THJ was off, Beasley was hitting threes. They complemented each other so good. Yeah, if Dunk and Huerter could give us some semblance of that, because there were not too many games when both of those guys were off, or when both of those guys were impactful, from what I remember, together. So if we could get Dunk and Huerter to give us, if it's at least one of those guys every night, giving us some output from 3, that'll help for sure, especially help our defense.
I just want to say, because I saw someone else bring it up too, because people will kind of hindsight, it's 2020. Nobody necessarily was sad to see THJ go. We thought that THJ was streaky.
I was.
Well, of course I was too, but fans in general, because he was streaky. He had some issues. He was a guy who would put up threes and stuff, and he either had a good game or a bad game. Same in Denver. I think he's actually having a better season in Denver, but that doesn't speak to us losing him or anything. It just speaks to fit. But people were okay with THJ leaving because we were we're going to sign Bees, because he left before all the Beasley stuff went down. And so I wouldn't say, maybe okay is not the word, but nobody was like, how could you get rid of him? All this
majority
stuff.
was,
The majority was just like, okay, bye THJ. Okay.
It was pretty much the same reaction as to when he first came here. It wasn't much of one, right?
I like that, the way you put that, because that's true. So I just hindsight's, a little bit 2020. And if we had kept THJ, who knows, maybe it would have been THJ in the start and then Dunk off the bench. Who knows? But also THJ, people had their issues with THJ. People wanted Beasley starting. People wanted, if THJ went 0 for 3 to start the game, people blamed it on, or just livid at him. I know. I was sad too. I like him. I'm glad he's in Denver. I still get to see him. But
good point, Kevin.
Yes, people were cool with it when they thought we'd be upgrading the position. Exactly. And they thought that we'd be signing Bees to that, and then we'd also just make other moves. And we only brought Duncan here really because we couldn't sign Bees. So we had to make adjustments. And I know you guys, I see people in here, you're mad at Trajan, you don't trust Trajan, all this stuff. With that shock, it was shocking to everyone. With that unexpectedness, he brought in someone who has been valuable to this team, and that's Duncan Robinson. He's like, I have to give Trajan credit for that, because it was a decision that had to be made quickly, because Dunk was, who knows who else was hunting Duncan. I just, and it was kind of out of left field. It was just as surprising for them as it was for us to find out that he, would be charged with these crimes and things. So he adjusted, and we're in first place because of that. People
forget too, for those who were upset with THJ last year, he was playing out of position for half the year. Mm-hmm. If you guys remember, like he's at this point, what did he play for the Nuggets? Shooting guard, right?
Yeah. Right? He comes off and he plays. Yeah, he plays the 2.
Right. That's what he played. That was what he was supposed to play when he first came here in that trade.
Mhm.
Was the 2, right? But as soon as he got here, he had to move to the 3 because Ausar Thompson wasn't ready to come back from his blood clot yet. So he started last season playing out of position.
True. That's true.
From the beginning. So he was guarding a guy. He was 6'5". He was guarding a guy every night. He was giving up 3 inches and about 20 pounds. And that can weigh on you, like that can weigh on your legs. That could take your legs out, having to guard heavier guys like that every single game. So he wasn't consistent every single game, but he was consistent as far as how he played. We also talk about Javonte Green, and we like he doesn't always shoot well, but at least he plays the same way.
Right.
You could say the same thing about THJ. Yeah. So that was a big part of it, though. He was shifting positions all year long. So I think once he went back to the 2, we saw him play a little bit better, right? But that was one of the biggest differences for me. Is like he had games where he hit back-to-back threes, like three to win games for us in the NBA Cup against the Miami Heat, being one of them. So it's like I think Kevin made a good point. It's like they were happy with it until they thought we'd be upgrading the position. Like they thought we'd be adding a big splash, like a THJ or like a MPJ or Lauri Markkanen. When they saw he wasn't going to return, it's like, all right, we're going to upgrade and get this guy and that guy. But he was great for us last year. Overall, he was a solid defender and he knocked down shots and he knew his role. So yeah, I loved him on this team.
We truly were spoiled with Beasley shooting. I think THJ was more streaky than Bees. Bees would have like a couple off games in a row, but then just like take off. THJ was kind of up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah. But like you said, the positions like here in Denver, he's been coming off the bench all season, whether there's injuries or not. He's just found like his role there. And I think he's playing very well in the scheme of things because also they're not, of course he's playing defense, but they're not, like we asked him to play bigger. We asked him to play the 3. They're just asking THJ to shoot the ball here in Denver and he's doing well. But like you said, it's all hindsight. And I don't even think it's just more about big splash. I think it's about they're going to make a move because they said that they weren't really going to break up the team last year because the guys kind of deserved where they were at. But we were going to sign Bees, who I could think everybody could agree with was who we were most excited to see make threes out there. Yeah, so I think Bees was going to be, move up to that, and then we would have made some move. And so we were okay with saying goodbye to some people. Right. I think if we knew about the Bees stuff before THJ left, I think THJ would still be here. I think we would have offered him more money.
Yeah, so that's very possible, but it was no way to really know. And by that time, he's already with Denver. So that's a good point you make for sure. I want to point this out too. And we'll move on to our next guy. But Michael says it's just really interesting because Detroit is much better we just talked about this, boss. Detroit is much better this year than last year, and that's without Beasley and THJ. Right. So even do you guys think our bench is better this year or last year? I would say it's a little bit better overall this year as far as depth. Maybe not names or individual guys making an impact every game. We like Bees averaging 14, maybe not that, but I think across the board, we're a little bit better as far as our bench. Now, I won't say we're a jump from 44 wins to possibly 60 wins better because of our bench. And the reason is because, Michael, I think our internal growth has been the biggest difference in us being better this year. Cade has elevated to an MVP type of guy. Jalen Duren has elevated to what we see now, an all-star for the first time. Ausar Thompson has elevated himself defensively into an all-NBA defender with ease, maybe even at some point being a DPOY. Isaiah Stewart has taken the internal growth. Ron Holland's gotten better. That's been the difference. The bench has been it's been a difference, but the biggest difference has been our main guys, our young guys who Trajan has decided to build around their growth. That's been the biggest impact, and that's why he just wants to add around the fringes and add around the margins, because what's going to matter most is the growth from our main guys, our impact guys. So it's a great point you made, Michael, and we just talked about that the other day.
And again, I'll just quickly say I agree with that, but that also just goes back to my point that I think Trajan brought in the right guy in a time where he wasn't expecting to make a move. I think he brought in Duncan, and even I was hesitant about Duncan. He was a guy that I didn't like to play against, so I didn't love Duncan because he always killed us. So, but having him on our team, and even though he has some slow games, like tonight included, his shooting has helped us. And it's hard because when you say that one of our biggest things this season is the shooting woes, so THJ and especially Bees would both be helpful in that. Yeah. It just goes to show, the fact that, like you said, internal growth in other areas, making defense our priority. That's why we're top of the East. And like me and you have said, I definitely think there's going to be moves this offseason. Not crazy big, but a bigger one
Mm-hmm.
to help bring that in. And yeah, and I'm also glad. I know someone said, because you brought up MPJ, and you guys would be more frustrated with him than you are with LeVert in some of his. If he's supposed to be your number 2 shooter, he can deliver that about 50% of the time. And LeVert, we don't even really ask to be our number 2 shooter. And I know he doesn't deliver it really ever, but yeah, that would have hurt us too. So.
Yeah, I ain't gonna touch that this time. We'll be here till 10 o'clock. But yeah, we've reiterated that a lot, but we talk about it because Boss, once again, lives in Denver and has watched every season of all these guys, and she watched his whole career entirely in PJ when he was with the Nuggets. So
I can point to my last point post game about, I said I'm worried about Jakob Poeltl, and I think this team is going to give us our biggest challenge even over the Lakers. Facts. And I was right on both points.
Talk to him. Talk to him.
Trust me.
All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Let's move on, Boss, to Marcus Sasser. We're going to get into these other 2 shooting guards who look to be kind of just trying to vie for an opportunity. So let's go now, Boss, to let's go to Sass, Marcus Sasser. Guys, tonight, Marcus Sasser he scored 3 points, 1 for 6 shooting, 1 for 3 from 3, 1 board, 2 assists, and a turnover in only 12 minutes, Boss. So what were your thoughts tonight on Sass?
Man, he hit his first 3 attempts, and I was like, this is a great sign. But then he didn't get up another attempt before he went out. And then when he came back in, he was a little bit cold. He went cold from 3. He had some drives to the basket that were good, but he was just too small with their, Barnes and Barrett and all them. He couldn't get it on the rim. He had one where he did get it over. He got it high off the glass. It just didn't go in. Yeah. But there were a couple times that I saw him drive, and I was like, just shoot the 3. Like, yeah. It seemed like, he was just also trying to find his rhythm tonight. But I don't know if it could have gone different for him if he didn't, if he was able to get up another shot before he was checked out after making the 3. Again, he only had 12, almost 11 and a half. I can't even really say 12. So he, that looked good. The other 2 just didn't necessarily fall. Because the 3 that he hit was pretty far back too.
Yeah, he got some range to him. Yeah, for sure.
Took it confidently. So just 1 of 6 isn't great, but everything else, I truly can't complain about. He had 2 assists, which is the most off the bench, and him and LeVert. Okay. Yeah, when him and LeVert were on the court together, he was more the main ball handler than LeVert. So I appreciated that. But again, those are both 2 guys that play better that have played better this season. And we've relied on Sasser in the past, like especially when Cade had his injury year and J.I. was our starting point guard. Marcus was our second point guard. So he's had that.
Exactly.
But we've definitely utilized him in more of a shooting guard role the last 2 years. And so that's where I want to keep him. So again, not a fantastic shooting night, but it also was out of position. So yeah.
Yeah. So I was really curious to see, Boss, if JB was going to find a way to keep Sass in the rotation.
Yeah.
After playing pretty solid, to be fair, in his 5 games, right, in his 5 starts. But I just felt with Ausar being back, we talked about this last show. I thought the backup minutes as shooting guard would come down to those 3 guys we talked about. And JB did find a way to get minutes for them, and we talked about how that played out with Daniss and all those things. So I thought offensively he was not that great. Right? There was no real flow. He couldn't find a shot. It's okay. It happens sometimes as far as the shooting, but he's not a point guard.
Right.
He's not a point guard. That's why I was kind of worried about if he would go from starting to not playing much, because we have that logjam at the shooting guard position. So the only way to keep that second rotation intact, since the starting rotation is already not intact, let's keep the second rotation intact and let's go with Sass at the 2. So that made sense. But once your starting group comes back, now you're back to that same problem of having too many shooting guards. So now it's like, you know what I mean? So I was worried about him not even getting a chance to play. He did, but so that was nice to see for him. But defensively, it's the same thing I talked about why I thought, Boss, he may not play much this year. It's just because the size. It's just the size for me. There were a few times we would see him get switched on to guys like Scotty Barnes. Like, that's not even fair. Like, you have to come double, and most times you're not going to be able to, because Scotty's going to get it up quick because he knows it's coming. That's just a mismatch you can't afford to have. And once again, it just goes back to what Trajan Langdon said. Like I always say, guys, Trajan Langdon at the beginning of the year, before the season started, he said that he wanted defensive optionality. He wanted that versatility defensively, to where if there's a switch, it's not a major mismatch to where you always have to come double. That's why he it seemed like he brought in a guy like Duncan Robinson who's 6'7", or he brought in a guy like Caris LeVert who's 6'6", or he had a guy like Jaden who's 6'4", and Cade is 6'6". You got versatility defensively. All those guys can guard 1 through 3, right? But with Sass, even some ones, he struggles just because of the size, right? So it's like if you get him on a switch, he ain't got a chance. It's just not fair. So that's why I was kind of concerned about it. It just seems like Trajan wants to go with guys who have that defensive versatility to where if he switch, we can still just play straight up. And we ain't always got to come double, and now we got to rotate and rely on rotations. So that's kind of what I took away from that. It was just that could be a problem, especially in the playoffs when possessions are important and you see teams taking advantage of matchups. That could be something that I could see being a problem.
Well, I do want to go to, because I agree with you to an extent, you know me, that yes, he is beyond size in defense, but he can be effective on defense with his peskiness and how he can knock away stuff. But when Sass is hitting shots, his defense intensity soars too. It kind of goes hand in hand. He played very short minutes with Cade, and then it was him and LeVert basically. So either he was the ball handler or LeVert was. So I want to see him. And when he was on the floor, it was mostly him. The last 3 games, like we talked about, he settled into his starting position and played very well off of Cade. And so I'm hoping that next game we do get to see him against Jenkins. And there was a couple good matchups for him on the court tonight, but he wasn't on the court when those matchups happened. Like Shed, there was another guy there too.
Who you wanted to see. That's actually who you wanted to see. Was that matchup, Houston, right?
Yeah, because Shed comes off the bench, and I was like, Sass coming off the bench, and if I'm coach, I'm aware of that, and I want to see them play against each other because I've seen Sass play Shed before. I think it was last season where he had a better game, and I've seen Shed play against Sass, and Shed has had the better game. So I do think, like, I don't think he's not a cone on defense. He definitely has, especially like other than Shed and them, like Toronto's a big team. So this matchup isn't good for him. So like we were talking about certain matchups and how that could, like, if we got Toronto first round, Sass on defense would be tough. So what's up,
Tom? He said, I'm so tired. Woke up at 4:30 when I watch our Pistons lose. That's all right, bro. We're gonna be all right, man. It's just one game. We'll be smooth.
Yeah. So I think, you know, his shooting, I mean, he had 3 really good games settling into that shooting guard position, and that's what I want to see back from him. So I do hope that, I'm just happy, like you said, I was curious to see if we would see him play because he basically went from very low to no minutes to very low minutes to starting 5 games. Right.
Opportunity seemed like for him.
Yes, I just want to see him in. So I think it's very clear that he plays better off ball, just like we've even said about LeVert. I think Sass can be more productive offensively than LeVert can off ball. So next game, I would just look for him to be, you know, checked in to play with Cade longer minutes or to play next to Jenkins, even though that's a size thing. If we are going to use him as a shooting guard for us, I think that those guys could be lethal because they're also buddies. So, yeah, I think, you know, not a great game from Sass. He definitely was not his best matchup team wise. But also I think that, like you said, the position had a lot to do with it as well. But it's also just, again, the experimentation, because you need guys that can, while we have great point guards, you want to have the ability for those point guards to play off ball. Not every possession, maybe every 5 or 6, just to throw it off a little bit, get them moving, because Jenkins and Cade both do well off ball as well. So yeah, I'll be curious to see how he does on Wednesday. For me, I still would pick like Huerter, Sass, and then LeVert.
Between the 3? Yeah, gotcha.
It's kind of where I'm at right now. So
that's where I'm at too.
And the Wizards, they have some big guys, but they aren't necessarily, like, I don't think of them as a big team like the Raptors. They could be, but I don't think of them that way. So Sass could have a better time against them too.
Yeah, and just looking ahead to the playoffs, we talked about having that consistent rotation, right? You don't have to worry about, is he going to be how's that matchup going to look on the switch? Like, that's why I'm thinking, I was saying, like, the guy who brings you the most, you know, out of those 3 that you think could help you in the playoffs, size is a big part of it too. Being able to go to consistent rotation is part of it too. So it's just things that I have my eye on as far as like what it could look like, you know, what they may be looking like, you know, as we're approaching the playoffs and finding that guy between the 3 who's going to be the consistent one with all the things they have to bring. So we'll see.
Ideally, I would hope that, because they have to basically narrow it down to 1. And I would want it to be Huerter, and then depending on if we need defense or offense, call up LeVert or Sass for some moments, just the next man.
I can see that.
So that's ideally what I think would work best. So we'll see.
I'm with you on that. Yep. Let's get to Heeman. Heeman says, Daniss first 37 games, 42, 40, 78 splits. Last 20 games, 37, 25, 76 splits. Was he just playing over his head and is regressing, or has he been figured out? Both. So I honestly don't think it's neither. Well, you know what? I would kind of side more to the latter than the former, but I don't think it's that he's been figured out. I think they have made adjustments. I think beginning of the year there wasn't as much film on him, right? As far as how they're going to game plan. And we talked about how teams are now over the course of the year really trying to pack the paint on that JD Cade lob. It's film on it. Teams are scheming against it now. I think the same thing is going to happen with Daniss. Like they're understanding what he likes to do, what he's best at, so they're making an adjustment. So now I think he just has to make an adjustment to their adjustment. But also I think he's just kind of slumping right now too. He's been better the last 2 games. But stuff like the splits, like this, the free throw shooting, him missing free throws, which is uncharacteristic, that stuff has nothing to do with them watching film. That's just him going to the plate, going to the line and knocking them down. So I think some of it is just slumping, the rookie wall, whatever you want to call it, just kind of having a down point in the season after being really, really good the first half. But I think a lot of it too is just him making the adjustments to how teams are defending him and then figuring out what to do once they make their adjustment. But I think he's gonna be just fine. Because the last 2 games he's been right. He's been more so back to his normal self, playing his game. So I think he'll be all right.
I think, and I with this too, I think you can point to maybe JD and basically JD, maybe Tobias as having a better second half of the season than first half. As a team, we had an incredible first half of the season, and it's definitely been a harder second half of the season for the team. Mm-hmm. So he was slumping when everyone was kind of slumping.
That's true.
So
that's true.
It is an individual thing, but also we talk about it all the time about when we're playing our game, just how everyone's in sync, how we say so-and-so feeds off of offense when their defense is good, and so-and-so feeds off of defense when their offense is good. So yes, like his numbers aren't good, but have declined a little bit, but a lot of them have compared to the first half. If you're comparing halves, everybody I think had a better first half of the season, except for maybe Jalen Duren.
That's true. That's a good point.
Numbers wise, at least box score wise, at least. So yeah, I don't think it's a regression. I think it's just that right after deadline we had wins and stuff, but they weren't necessarily our game. We went in the losing streak, the ugly wins. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I individually, of course, you want to stay consistent and everything, but even Wu struggled, Ron struggled. So yeah, I think it's more of a team thing, looking at the second half of the season as a whole too.
I expect them to all bounce back the same way too, collectively. Mm-hmm. So yeah, good question, Heeman. Boss, let's go now to Caris LeVert, the third guy of this 3 we've been talking about. Guys, Caris LeVert finished with 9 points on 3 for 8 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 1 or 2 from the free throw line, 3 boards and assists, a turnover, a steal, and a block for 2 stocks in 20 minutes. So one of the better Caris LeVert games that we've seen, at least from a box score standpoint, at least from that aspect. But what did you see tonight from Caris LeVert?
I think he had a great first half and then kind of fell off in the second half, which was a bummer because, I think he hit his first 3 and then he hustled back to save the ball.
Yeah, he sprints. He loves getting on transition.
It's fun when he sprints, but he hustled back to save the ball. He had a knockaway at the end of the third, which helped prevent a late shot. I think that was the one that Ingram ended up getting the basketball and scoring, but definitely not in enough time. Anyways, but he just prevented that. So I love to see a steal and a block from him, because especially a steal, he's known for his defense. I think he played good defense, especially the first half. His shots were falling in the first half. It was just a bummer that it couldn't continue. And that's also why I think he got a little bit more playing time than Huerter and Sass, because while they all had good first halves, Caris' first half was just like good for Caris, like good for what we've seen from Caris. So we were just hoping that it continued. I don't even know.
That's why last game I was like, I'm not tripping over his first game back after missing.
It was a much better start this game, a much better game, start to this game than last game.
No, first half he was one of the best players in the court.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And he was keeping guys on his toes. He was hitting threes. He was making passes. I'm surprised. I thought he had more than 1 assist, but I thought he made a little bit more plays there. I'm curious, and I don't know if whatever site you're on for stats, did he score in the second half?
I don't think he did. He had some attempts.
Right. And Huerter and Sass both made their points in the first half as well and didn't score again. So all 3 of them again kind of fell off in this first half, but he definitely, of the 3, had the best first half. And then I would actually call Huerter on as the best second half, because he did didn't play as many minutes, but as Caris did, but he did, I think, have better defensive positioning in the second half. But yeah, bummer that Caris couldn't carry it over to the second half and get some stuff going. I'm not sure if it's because he was slowed down or whatever, but he didn't do anything detrimental. He can't, he's not blamed for this loss at all. And in fact, I really liked what I saw from him first half, and just a bummer that it didn't continue. So
now, as I was watching him in that first half, he had me thinking, like, if it was consistently, like over the stretch, over this last stretch, I was thinking at halftime, if he keep this up, he might be re-entering the conversation, at least for me, about who that shooting guard should be. If it's consistent, the impact he was having on both sides, right, was great. I was like, Huerter hooping, but if Caris do keep up like this, it's a conversation to be had. But it's just this all year long. It's what Heisenberg said. He giveth and he taketh away. And he just didn't play well in the second half. It kind of looked like how we've seen a lot of the season, as far as like just the up and down, turnovers, bad shot selection, missing point blank shots at the rim, just a lot of things that are avoidable, that are really avoidable. It wasn't just the missed shots. It's a shot selection. It wasn't just a turnover. It was the decision making on it. Just the things the unforced stuff, right?
Yes.
Not really just the shooting, just the unforced errors that we as a team try to cut down on. We pride ourselves on having low turnover games whenever we have them, right? So we value the basketball. So we always say we want Cade and Daniss to be on the court. We want to value the basketball. So when he's out there and he's not doing that, it just kind of hurts your flow. First half, he didn't do that. Second half, he kind of did. And I felt like that was, for me, that's kind of been the story the whole season, whether it's a game or consistently or a stretch of games consistently. Like, if you can you bring it or can't you? I'm not saying at your peak you're not better than X player, but can you consistently be that guy that we can rely on in the playoffs to say he's that guy in that unit? And there's no question about it. That's all I'm looking for. And I feel like Huerter kind of gives us more with that than Caris does. First half was great, man. I was really hoping he would carry it over. I really was, man, because the decision making was good in the first half, right?
Exactly.
Like he hit a corner three ball to get us started. Nice pass overhead to Paul Reed in the post for an easy layup. Just over the head pass. Beautiful Euro step finish at the rim. Like, he looked fresh. He looked fresh. He was moving. He wasn't laboring. I was like, defensively for sure. But I'm like, if he can give us this offensively consistently in the flow of the offense and not taking bad shots, like, I'm like, okay, we got to have a conversation for me, Huerter or Caris, who's going to be that guy who gives us that defense and the offense. So once I saw it kind of fall off, I was like, okay, got my hopes up. You know what I mean? So I feel it's still time for him. I'm not saying it's likely. I still feel it's time for him to show that he can possibly consistently be that guy at that level. But I think the clock is working against him, if I'm being honest.
I think, this is always what I want from guys, is whether it's in game or to the next game, is adjust and fix your issues. I think that last game was the first time that we genuinely saw JB bench him out of frustration, because it's, people are valid when they say that JB gives him kind of some leeway with some minutes. So I think that he understood that last game was a terrible game and that JB benched him. And then when he did give him a second opportunity in the second half, he did things like turn the ball over, and you saw JB's face. If looks could kill, as Blaha said.
R&D cross, he'd be like, look at the scoreboard.
Just yes. And you hear him.
It's so funny, bro.
You can hear him
yelling.
Trying
so hard to mask it. Go ahead.
I know. You can hear him yelling at Caris sometimes. So
really, I haven't peeped that one. Okay.
Yeah, he did this game. You heard him yell, "Come on, Caris!" So
okay.
And it wasn't even necessarily a bad thing that Caris did, but more. I think it was more so like he realized that Caris fell out of his first half form too.
Oh, okay.
So what I do appreciate from Caris is that he took last game seriously. Like, JB, you could see it on his face. He was genuinely pissed. He got pulled after a couple of bad mistakes and then an unforced turnover, and so he's understanding that he needs to earn his minutes too. So I did appreciate that, because that's all you can ask is to just do better than you did last time. And I think that's what's frustrating about Caris, is he's been consistently inconsistent and consistently putting up these low stat lines. So he did get better from this game to last game. And We want him to keep getting minutes. That's what he needs to grow on. So now, if his shot does start falling, as someone said in here a while ago, and it goes to your point of that people have film on us now, is that the Pistons stop surprising people. But if Caris can develop, 9 points aside, if he can develop a 12-point, 15-point game in 20 minutes, then that's a little bit of a surprise again. That we can rely on him to get that, like you said, not just easy shots, but then making the right decisions. He did make the right calls. He got to the rim when he wanted, and I have to say, even though he did hit a couple threes, he got to the rim when or I don't know how many threes he made, 1, 2, but he got to the rim and got it in when other guys couldn't. So that was a positive for him. Getting to get through the Raptors rim defense was they shut down Ausar, Sasser, because you can blame Sasser's size for the reason he didn't get shots up at the rim, but you can't do that to Ausar, So Caris is able to work around that as well. So all I can hope now is that he comes out, no matter how many minutes he gets next game, he comes out strong and makes the right decisions, and hopefully his shot is falling. And then my improvement for him today would then just to be consistently doing that from one half to the second half. So
that's it. Yeah. And I think maybe I'm putting too much stock into how well, because I don't think he could have played much better in that first half. That may have been his best half of the year was the first half. So he didn't play terrible the second half. It was just right. It was just, for me, it was just a drop off in the second half. He just wasn't as impactful in the second half. He had some even though it won't show as a turnover on the stat sheet, to me, bad shots, terrible shot selection is just as bad as a turnover. Like, if you're not taking good shots and it's a long miss, that's the same thing as turnover to me. So it's not just the actual turnovers, it's the decision making. And for me in the second half, it wasn't there like it was in the first half. And that's the thing for me, Hosmer. It's just the inconsistency. Like, I do think he has the highest ceiling. And that's kind of what Kevin was saying here, that among those three guys, I think he has the highest ceiling. But sometimes you need guys who are just very consistent in their role. They understand their role. They're not going to go off script. They're not going to take bad shots. They're just going to be very consistent in what they do, and they can be reliable when called upon, even though they're not as talented. And I think that's the case really with a Kevin Huerter and a Caris LeVert. I think Caris LeVert is more athletic, better defender, more talented as a raw player. But within the confines of what we're trying to do as a team, I think Kevin Huerter just gives us that more consistently. So I would rather have that. That's why I'm saying if Caris can do what he did in the first half consistently the rest of the year, I'm having a conversation about Caris LeVert getting that spot. We just haven't seen it all year. So when you're trying to get a consistent rotation, you got to have guys who are consistent with their play so they can warrant being in the rotation consistently. So because Huerter has done that in a much shorter period of time than a Caris LeVert, I'm just going to go the safer route and go with Kevin Huerter.
Yeah, that's true. And again, and I'm just going off of because what Michael said here, Caris had no turnovers, ball didn't stick with him. He passed, guys missed shots. No idea why you're saying got bad. He didn't get bad, but when you have him out there as a shooting guard, if he's supposed to be our shooting guard, he needs to make shots. And so and I think it was just a bummer because he went 3 for 3 in the first. He got 2 threes. He got to the rim for a layup, and then he got to the rim and got fouled and made 1 of 2 free throws. And then he went 0 for 5 in the second half. So that's just for me, he didn't get bad, but it's just
because
a
major drop off.
And it made us excited. I was excited. Like it's a Caris game. Finally, it's the Caris game. Because if he had his same shot production, but again, like you said, guys weren't making their shots. Like
that's
Huerter and Sass made their shots early and then didn't later. So it's not just him, but it just goes to show that what he could be, and he is just yet to reach at this point. But again, if he comes out and does that in the first half, then it's going to bleed over to the second half eventually. And like you said, he's running. He has time, but not as much. So hopefully,
and it doesn't help that Huerter's played well in a short period of time. Go ahead.
Agreed. And Sass too. Sass in the starting. Sass too. Yeah. So
But it's going to be interesting. Like if he is able to raise his play, if we see more of the first half more consistently the rest of the season, then this backup shooting guard spot is going to be very interesting to watch. Like it was a few times where it was just like they were just all kind of getting off. Like you see Sass hit a shot, you see Caris get a euro, you see Huerter knock down a shot, and it was. I'm not saying it was, I'm just kind of being fun when I say this. It felt like for a second I was watching those three go against each other I wasn't even paying attention to the Raptors.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, okay, Kara, I see you, Karis. Kevin, what you got? All right, Seth, what you got? And they were just like, it was a flurry where they were all just hitting shots and they were all doing their thing, almost like they were kind of auditioning, like, hey, this is why I should be the guy. This is why I should be the guy. This is why I should be the guy. So it was just interesting to see that. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out as we get to the end of the season.
And I'm curious because I know we want to see him pick it up now. We want to see him pick it up before then, but they did specifically say that he will be valuable to this team in the playoffs. And Kevin does say it here too. Unfortunately, I feel like this team needs Caris to be good to have a playoff success this year. And even if that's not necessarily in his play, it is in the fact that he is a vet to help these guys. You just hope that you can see it. Because even if we get, because again, he had 9 points, and if just a couple of shots fell in the second half, he'd be closer to 12, 15. And then if we still get Huerter minutes and he gets closer to 10, that's valuable bench production to help out the defender. So yeah, it'll be like you said, they all three of them continue to make a case today for why they should play, which is just I think again we'll see more experimentation, and they all have their strengths. And so if any of them could not only utilize their strengths but also pick it up in other areas that are their weaknesses, he needs to be above average. Exactly, Devin.
100%.
Then that's who it's going to go to. It's going to go to who can, I think personally, be most consistent and deliver what we're asking of them every time. Like, we're not asking Sass to be an amazing defender, but we're asking him to make shots. We're not asking LeVert to put up 20 a game, but we're asking him to make the right offensive decisions and play tough on defense. And we're asking Kevin Huerter to get some more shots up and continue to play well on defense. So if they do what they're asked, it's going to be interesting.
Right. So that's what I have my eye on probably more than anything outside of our team. Just for sure. It's nice to have the luxury to be able to for that to be the focus. Like last year, it's like, we're going to avoid the play-in or not. We need this team to lose. We were stressing out. Now it's, well, since we're so far in first place, let's dig into our bench and see who's going to be our backup shooting guard. Yeah, that's what I'm like. It's just totally different spot we're in right now as opposed to last year, for sure.
And all three of them know it too, which is fun.
Oh, for sure. You could, I could see it as they were playing. I'm like, oh, he got a bucket. Okay, I see what y'all doing. So it's gonna be fun to see how that plays out. So let's now go to, we got 3 more guys. Let's go to Ron Holland tonight, guys. In this game, Ron Holland finished with 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting, 0 of 1 from 3, 2 boards, assists in 13 minutes. So a quiet game from Ron. Not for lack of effort, but wasn't that productive tonight. What do you see from Ron?
Yeah, I didn't have any notes for him because, like you said, it's not really productive. Nothing necessarily stood out. He did attempt a corner three, which actually kind of looked good. He started moving like it was good, so it just came up a little bit short. But he got put in 4 rebounds, and I think did his best out there. He did grab a couple important ones. So, but yeah, like you said, nothing lack of effort, but just didn't put up really any numbers that could have, helped us push it over. But yeah, nothing. The effort was there, and he played a round game, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. So
yeah, he had a couple of finishes at the rim where they made some great defensive plays. He might have got fouled on one where they came across his face. They got the ball first, so I'll let that go. But they made some good defensive plays. Like he was getting downhill. But I mean, Scotty Barnes is a big athletic dude, man. Like, so a few times under the rim when Ron got caught where he tried to, dribble and create some space. And Scotty a big boy, man. So he tried to go up with it and Scotty was there to block it. So it's like he was trying. He was trying. He just has to adjust to, they got a big team too. RJ Barrett's a big guy.
Yes.
Talked about Proto's a long guy. So it's like they got a big team too. So, it was just one of those tough games for him. Not
necessarily even like height-wise, which they do, but like Barrett, Pirtle, Barnes, those guys
Ingram.
are walls. Yeah. Well, Ingram is a skinny little guy.
Oh, you mean like as far as just like strong guys?
Yeah. And we just talked about how Ron needs to get a little bit stronger, which he will do with age. He's still young. But like those guys, are just gonna have a little bit of an advantage. But Ron's definitely the peskier one. He can knock it out of hands. He can bother them that. He's still bothersome. So I'm actually really excited. I think the first times we played the Wizards was when Ron was kind of in his slump. His sophomore slump that people were accusing him of, that he's definitely come out of. I think the young Wizards are going to be, it's going to be some fun out there with Ron Holland against them. So I'm looking forward to these next 2 games.
Yeah, me too.
So
that's all I got. That's all I got for Ron. All right, guys, let's keep it pushing, man. Let's go, boss, to Javonte Savage. Can you woo Green in this game, guys? Tonight, Javonte Green finished with 8 points on 2 of 3 overall, 1 of 2 from 3. 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 3 boards, an assist, and a customary steal, boss, in 15 minutes. So some decent production from Savage Wu. What did you see tonight from Javonte?
Yeah, I just have to also say that just looking at some numbers, because I always check, he only had 1 personal foul. That's good. But also just looking at these numbers, Ron and Wu were the only ones not to turn the ball over today. So that also just goes to show, yes, everybody else recorded a turnover. Everyone.
Wow.
Except Ron and Wu are 2.
No, you're right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They're
so
the only ones.
That also just speaks to the defense that the Raptors played on us tonight. But anyways.
True. No, that's very true.
Yes, he did awesome. I mean, again, you look at this box score and you're just like, oh, that's pretty average. But he was definitely a force out there. He only had 3 rebounds, but they all came late because he really just got in there and he understood that rebounds is what we needed to get. That's the adjustment I wanted to see from JD, but Wu understood at halftime. Like I'm coming in now to rebound the ball. I think, let me see. Oh, he only had 1 offensive. It felt like he had mostly offensive, but he hit his first 3 attempt, which was a very contested one. Like,
it was.
I don't know if he got on him, but he was bigger and Wu made it over it. And so that was nice to see. In the third, he had a nice poke away steal to jam, which is just a classic Wu move.
Didn't even see him coming. Didn't even see him coming.
Yeah, I did from the from the camera, but no one else did.
Nobody communicated to him. Yep.
And unfortunately, it didn't pay off. But if we had won the game or it made a comeback, I would have tracked it back to his 3 very important free throws.
There you go. That's what I was going to get on.
And I want to say too, he's also the only one to make all of his free throws tonight.
Yep.
Everybody else split or missed a couple or didn't make any at their chance. So, and this is another game. He's made 3 important free throws before for us. So just always, like you said, it's kind of like the opposite of LeVert, where he's consistently consistent in what he gives out there, and whether it's reflected in the box score or not, which today I feel like it was, you just know what you're going to get from him. So so I appreciate it. He did get I think he had a couple, even Wu had a couple, as a great defender that he is, because of the size of Toronto, like he was put on
he at times,
but he, just like Ron, just like any of them, he's going to accept the challenge, even Dunk, and he's going to make it tougher on them, but you can't teach size, like you say. So some shots were made over him. He also forced guys to give it up a couple times. He forced whoever he was defending not being able to catch the ball. So great game from Wu. Definitely contributed to our late run, and then our better defense in the second half. I know the second half was the worst half for us, but because the second chance opportunity still happened, but we got a lot of late, especially in the fourth, we got stops, and that was because of Wu too. So
it's fun watching him late in games. I know he didn't close this game, but it's fun watching him, in crunch minutes, because he seems to always make a play. It's just cool to see the trust they have in him, to have a guy who's playing 15 minutes, a nice chunk of those minutes are at the end of the game, because you just know he's going to be a guy who helps you win basketball games. Pistons didn't win this game, but he made some key plays when he was, Mr. I try, appreciate you, Devin, filling in for Chris tonight.
Filling in for Chris.
Mr. I tried my best tonight, Coach. Yeah, like he just makes plays. He makes plays that you can't always account for. Michael said they were trying to pick on him. They were trying to pick on Sasser, and that's when he recognized a mismatch and he came over. I think it was Scotty he stole it from. Just stole the ball away. Didn't even see him coming. So plays like that are invaluable in the playoffs when you can kind of steal possessions, and he's able to do that with his heads-up play. So it wasn't a great box score game, but we know he's one of the box score deceivers on this team for sure. But just going to the line and knocking down 3 big free throws for a guy who doesn't shoot a ton of free throws. He goes a lot of games and doesn't shoot any free throws. So, but once again, we just see his ability when we need him. He's going to go to the line, knock it down. He's
kind of, I like that Michael brought it up too here about them picking on Sass, because I'm thinking of like if Sass had great help defenders like Ron and Wu on the floor with him, then a Jenkins and Sass backcourt would work fine. If guys like Wu and Ron and Stu were in, because if help and I'm not going to get into the whole debate of that, but like that was able to help. If you have a guy you can even argue for Duncan too. If help defense is also, what's the word? I don't know. If we have, you have to have the focus on, if we know that we have some weakness on defense, then the focus should then be help defense. And him and Ron are both great help defenders. So I just kind of like that, because now I think that would be, I wouldn't mind. It's smaller.
Yeah, like I'm not.
That's like a dog pound lineup for me. It had to be this. I just like the way that, like, it was aware. I think he was gonna go at it no matter who was guarding him, because he had the straight shot. But Sass being the one on defense, his assignment, I think that might have contributed a little bit to why Javonte, because when Ingram got switched to Duncan, you knew what Ingram was going to do. He liked it. So I think whether it was Barnes or whoever it was at the top, when they got switched to Sasser, they kind of gave away what they wanted to do. And that's why Javonte was able to go in there and get that swipe away. So
yeah, I mean, for me, that'd be a matchup that you can go to. A lot of you can go to, because you got those guys there. It makes you kind of average defensively again. And it makes you have to rely on your rotations so much more, because you're going to have to double if you get that matchup, because they're going to go to it every time. Like, the difference between Sass for me and Duncan is, like, when Sass was kind of getting caught, that was the only time Sass didn't get caught under the rim, when he caught the ball. Every other time he was getting switched on, it was right under the rim. At least with Duncan, he's on the perimeter. He's still got to make a tough shot from the perimeter. So, like, it's something you can go to. I wouldn't prefer to go to it, because I think you're really just offsetting your defense for your offense. Like, you're getting more offense, but the defense is kind of compromised, because you got to rotate every time on the switch. So, I mean, it's nice to know you can go to it, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that this game is awful, and what you said and just talking through it a little bit just helped me realize too that the Raptors had really good help defense today as well. Help defense is something, transition defense, I think we did okay at today, but help defense, I think, is something, and like switching and making sure that you're not leaving anyone open is something that we can improve on before the end of the season too. So that's a little bit unrelated, but I think that Wu and Ron especially are really good at moving on defense and making sure and getting to the open guy before they can get a shot up or something. So you want good helpers if you're going to compromise on size a little bit.
Yeah, if you have to, you have to have guys like that for sure. Let's go to Paul Reed, guys, and we will call it a night. Tonight, guys, Paul Reed finished with 4 points on 2 of 4 shooting overall, 6 boards, 2 turnovers, and 3 blocks, as Boss mentioned, in 11 minutes, which is crazy. Led the team by far. What did you? And he actually had the fewest minutes tonight, which is crazy as well. And he had the most blocks. All right, what did you see tonight from B-Ball Paul in this one, Boss?
So I actually don't think he had a great first half. It's when Duren went off, they started getting, they kind of overpowered him. Pirtle did. Just like Pirtle, Pirtle was doing that to JD too. But the second half, again, when you go to halftime and you make adjustments, his second half was great. He came in again for rebounds. I will say in the second quarter of the first half, he got back to block quickly. It was after Barnes blocked Sass, and then they ran out, and Reed got all the way back to block Emmanuel quickly. And then in the third, he had the block on Ingram and then a defensive rebound. Because there's a block on Ingram, and then I think Pirtle or someone tried to tap it in, and Paul Reed was able to pull it down. So he himself, especially with 3 blocks and with 6 rebounds, let me see how many of those were defensive. 4 of them were defensive. He himself really helped contribute to less second chance opportunities in the fourth quarter and at the end of the third. So would I like to see more of him? I think maybe the slow start in the first half made JB hesitant, but he definitely could have played more minutes, especially I saw him come in was it early in the third or early in the fourth? And I thought, oh, he's coming in to play with JD, because it was like too early for JD to sit. And no. And then JD sat. Oh, it was the fourth. And then JD sat and got like a 2-minute rest and then came back out. And I'm just like, they can play together, especially. And JB was trying, I think he was trying to experiment with the shooting guards at the same time he was trying to get rebound help, because you saw Wu and Ron and Paul Reed come in at times when we needed to get those, and and Paul Reed succeeded. He definitely had a great game, and I just wish I saw more minutes from him. But yeah, he's always just so incredibly productive in such a short amount of time. And especially with Stu out, I just think this is the outlier. Again, I think it was more of an experiment with other things anyways. And hopefully, if I'm JB again, and I'm telling Duren to adjust at halftime, I'm expecting him to, and he didn't necessarily do that. But when do you call it? But for JD to play 37 minutes and Paul Reed play 11 is ridiculous. But
That's
that's
my
just kind
only
of
takeaway.
that's kind of
to
the
be honest.
biggest issue I had with rotations tonight, because everything else made sense in terms of what we were saying of like trying to narrow stuff down, but this doesn't make sense. And I would
Yeah.
hope while Stu recovers that this isn't the norm. It can't
Yeah.
be. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. It's that's all I got.
yeah.
I don't know why he didn't play more, because he showed that he can at least hold the fort down while Stu was out, and that's something I wasn't comfortably like consistently able to say about him last year. Like if Stu goes out, he showed me some things in the playoffs when Stu wasn't there, right? But
Mhm.
I'm even more confident this year that if like right now, like if Stu is out, B-Ball Paul consistently this year has shown us that he can hold it. He can hold it down, and he's done. Like last game against the Raptors, he had 18 points in the first quarter
Mm.
alone.
Yeah. Yes.
So this wasn't that kind of game, but he's been doing that kind of stuff all year.
Mhm.
So I just don't know why in the game when you're struggling, and we talked about it since the beginning of the year. I want to see two big lineup, but I don't understand why the beginning of the year, since the beginning of the year, why he hasn't been playing more. Did you guys know? I didn't. I actually didn't. Did you notice what the turnovers were? Were they
No.
offensive fouls? I didn't
No,
peep that.
me either. I
think what was one of them an offensive foul? I'm trying to remember
I'm
now.
just guessing that one of them was an offensive foul going for a board, I believe.
Over the back, was it?
Yeah, something
one
like
of
that.
them, yeah,
Or
okay.
grabbing. Oh, that was when he was holding Scotty Barnes, right? Or was that Duren? Because one of
I
them were
gotta go
holding
back and look.
each other, and then they let go, and they're like, we're both grabbing, but it went
Okay.
in Scotty Barnes' favor. I don't know if that one was B-Ball Paul or someone else, but that I think those again were. I can't recall what they were, but he did have a slow first half again.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's just why with the turnovers, if JB saw something in them that he just like he benched Caris the other night, if he thought that Paul Reed's head wasn't in it, which it wasn't. He didn't look like Paul Reed for the first 2 minutes he played in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
But the second he got better throughout, and that I think
Yep.
just earns him more minutes. It should earn him more minutes. So yeah, that I think is just the most confusing thing. And again, I think it's just because they went a little bit small at times, and JD they just kind of relied on to help bring us back into the game. But there definitely should have been moments that the both of them played. So yeah,
I feel like he needs to play more than 11 minutes when Stu is available.
true.
So to have only because those are the only two bigs that played tonight, like at the center spot, like you said, 37 and 11 is 48 minutes. Like those are the only two guys playing that position, and I'm like, when Stu was available, he got to get at least 15, 16. Despite that, so to only get 11 in the game against this team when Stu's not available, I don't know.
Yeah,
we've said it before. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. So yeah, we got to see more Paul Reed, man. Maybe they're hiding him for the playoffs or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to give away as much film as they've had to do in a guy like Daniss. Who knows? But I don't know.
That's another thing to consider is that all teams watch film, no matter who the opponent is, but maybe they're just aware that the Raptors are an opponent that they could see in the first round, depending on how their last part of the season goes. Because the Raptors are good enough, I think, to make it out of the play-in too. So if they do fall down, so it is maybe there's a little bit more of we're just going to play everyone and not give anything away.
Maybe, because Claire said she didn't think this was a good Paul Reed. Like Claire, he played 11 minutes, had 4.6 boards and 3 blocks.
3 blocks.
Like
JD didn't even get 1 block.
He did have 2 turnovers, but you're right. But to me, like, I don't. You got to get him more minutes. Like,
I think that's
barely to me a big enough sample size to say I can evaluate this.
What's crazy to me? It's not even that he played half of JD's minutes. He played less than a third.
Less than a third.
Like if his production, which this is not reliable data, but if his production was just as much, if he produced the same every 11 minutes, he had 12 points and
the per 36 was right. The per 36
blocks.
Minutes, like I agree. I agree. So we'll leave it there, man. Hopefully we get to see more Paul Reed in the playoffs. At this point, that's where I'm at. Like if they know what they're gonna do with him, like how with Daniss, and they know what he's gonna do, his role, and they're just saved. I don't know, but whatever the reason, I hope we see more of him because we're gonna need him, man, for sure. So we'll leave it there, boss, on Paul Reed. Guys, let's quickly look ahead to the Pistons' next game. So next game, guys, the Pistons. Well, first of all, the favorable schedule kind of continues. I know boss said don't sleep on Wizards, and she's right. But the next 2 games are against the Washington Wizards. Both of those games are actually in Washington, which is kind of interesting. The first game is on Tuesday and the second is on Thursday. That's an interesting quirk in the schedule. You don't
Yeah.
usually see like you play the same team twice in their city. That doesn't happen too often. It happens in baseball a lot,
Yeah.
but not so much in the NBA. So
And not
I
like
thought
on
that
a
was
back to
interesting.
back, but like a day
Right.
in between.
Day in
'Cause they'll
between, just yeah.
They'll probably leave tomorrow, and then they'll have
I would
Tuesday, and
imagine.
then they'll
Yeah.
get to stay, and then have it like so.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice, it's nice for them to not have 2 away games that they have to travel a lot for, but it is interesting.
Yeah. So I'm expecting dubs. Like I
Mhm.
know this to me was a little bit of a disappointing loss just because of how it happened. It's a good team, the Raptors, so I'm not taking that away from them. But just
Right.
the way it happened, this was a little bit of a disappointment. But it's not doom and gloom. You're gonna lose games. Now is the time to work out because I also want them to see what those details are they need to work on. It may be a little bit harder to see those if you just keep winning. So like, when you lose games, you're not just winning despite. Now you have opportunities to be able to clean up more things. So
Mhm.
I'm not mad at the loss. It's a learning lesson for them to get better.
Mhm.
But they should win these 2 next games against the Wizards, as far as I'm
And
concerned.
that's how I feel, because like I said, I told you guys to be wary of the Raptors, but and I'm telling you to be wary of the Wizards, but be wary of the Wizards, but there's absolutely no reason we should lose these games because
No.
that one towards like Jay
Interesting.
Chevy Sports says, Wizards
Yeah.
aren't playing any defense right now. They are at high scoring games. They have great shooters. They're staying
Man.
within range. They're not getting blown out, but
They
they're not
better
playing
pick on Trey.
defense. And so our defense against them, plus if we keep up, I think we've had really good offensive production in the last few games. If we keep that up, it should be, an easy win. But we can't go into it thinking it's going to be an easy win. This is
Yeah.
another test. The Wizards are well aware that they've been an issue for us this season. So they're going to come in knowing that, and they're going to want to, even though they're tanking, they're going to want to get their home crowd a win against the number 1 team in the East.
Yeah. So
So-
you gotta be ready. for
And
sure.
yeah, and this will also be another test towards not playing down to our competition,
Exactly.
playing our game. Hopefully, I think we'll definitely see big rotations, a lot of players playing like we did tonight, but
Mhm.
we should be locked in and playing more like ourselves for just consistency reasons. So
Yeah. So maybe another opportunity to
Mhm.
see those 3 guards again get their opportunity. Who knows how it's going to work out?
Mhm.
But I'm going to get these comments real quickly. Mike says, if Detroit wins Tuesday, then Thursday night might be a nice day to risk Cade with a home game on Friday. Maybe, depending on how it looks. Hopefully, if he does play, he doesn't got to play 30 minutes anyway, and he can still kind of, get some run in and be able to chill second half because they took care of business. So we'll see.
is Friday our
Um,
Lakers game?
I believe so.
Then
know
I
we
want
got
him in
back to
against
back.
I want him in against Luka. If we win Tuesday, I see what you're saying. Rest him Thursday. Yeah,
And then play on
that's-
Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. I also wouldn't mind if he's warm on Thursday, or at least get him 20
Just get him
minutes.
playing a little bit. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, don't play 30. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sucks that
care
we have
of
a
business.
back-to-back where we have to fly, away from home, but that's also a little bit beneficial that, again, we get to at least stay in the same city for 2 away games.
Mike
No.
says, so start Daniss on Thursday. I ain't mad at that, bro.
Cool.
Even if he doesn't start, play him heavy minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Play him
Right.
heavy minutes. Hopefully come second half when the game is in doubt or it's not in doubt anymore. So we'll see. We'll see,
Agreed.
man. That's all we got for tonight, guys. Doug says you got to win every game. They should be able to win that game without Cade. They've shown all year they can win games without guys, including Cade, when Daniss started and won games for us at the beginning of the season when he was still kind of getting his feet under him. So it should still be a winnable game, even without a guy like Cade against the Wizards if they lock in. So
Yeah.
we'll see, guys. We'll call it there, man. We appreciate you guys. As always, been a great show again on this Sunday night. Thankfully it's not like 12 in the morning. We had a matinee game today, so get a chance to kind of chill a little bit. But we appreciate you guys for showing up, showing out as you guys always do. Make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe if you are new. And as always, we hope you guys have a great night. Enjoy your weekend. And y'all know the drill, man. Detroit versus everybody. Peace.
All the dirty work, all dog. I'ma dive on the floor, go try to block every shot, and I'ma be physical with you the whole game. You know Stu gonna be physical with you. When you think of the Pistons, you think it's just hard work and just gritty basketball. That's just the identity you gotta have when you put on that jersey.
I'm not your average breed of canine. Not a good dog, I'm bad boy for life. I set the tone, don't care about no tick. Let it be known, I get my respect. Come in the lane and see I don't bluff. If you retaliate, that's on ya. Talking pundits, I hear you're ashamed. Talking that chop, you must run this way. Tryna tell ya, if the dog palm mess around, find out, yeah. Tryna tell ya, if the dog palm mess around, find out, for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better cough a hill, cause I'm like that. When you're real for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better cough a hill, cause I'm like that.